podsticaj za razmišljanje i da ćemo i u nastavku deliti korisna znanja i ideje koje nas mogu inspirisati i pokrenuti. Juče smo imali priliku da čujemo izuzetne govornike koji su se osvrnuli na promene koje oblikuju konferencijsko prevođenje danas, od primene novih tehnologija preko akreditacionih i obrazovnih politika do zdravstvenih i etičkih izazova u savremenom radnom okruženju. Završni panel dana dodatno je osvetlio važnost profesionalnog udruživanja i snagu regionalne saradnje, podsjećajući nas da zajedničkim radom možemo unaprediti standarde struke i osigurati njenu održivu budućnost. Danas nas očekuju predavanja i razgovori fokusirani na regionalni kontekst, izazove, standarde i perspektive saradnje u jugoistočnoj Evropi, kao i o budućim koracima ka formiranju regiona Međunarodnog udruženja konferencijskih prevodilaca. Pozivam vas da i danas aktivno učestvujete, postavljate pitanja i doprinesete kvalitetu diskusije. U nastavku programa vođenje sesije preuzima naša cijenjena koleginica, gospođa Vesna Končar-Nikolić, akreditovani prevodilac Saveta Evrope, član Međunarodnog udruženja konferencijskih prevodilaca, sudski tumač i prva predsednica Društva simultanih i konsekutivnih prevodilaca Srbije. Pozivam je da otvori sledeći deo programa. Hvala.
Dobar dan svima. Dobrodošli na ovaj drugi dan naše konferencije. Ovo je dakle treća konferencija i mislim da smo u svakoj do sada pokušali da obuhvatimo više nivoa od tog globalnog koji predstavlja AIK i udruženja kao što je recimo zapravo AIK je jedino globalno udruženje za usmene prevodioce, ali imamo tako i velike prevodilačke službe, kao što su ove dve koje su predstavljene ovde, jedna koja se zove SKIK i druga Savet Evrope. Mislim da je dobro što se nalazimo ovaj treći put, jer smo pomalo i uspeli da razaznamo šta nam je činiti, a i da ne možemo sve odjednom da uradimo, pa možemo da se fokusiramo na neke tačke koje su ostvarive relativno lako ili teže, ali sve zavisi od nas. O tome ćemo kasnije govoriti, a tu se radi zapravo o kreiranju regiona koji bi bio veoma povoljan za nas, kao i za svakog ko ima neki region. Radi se o regionu AIK-a, naravno. Sada bih pozvala za početak Jelenu Pralas da uzme reč i samo bih je predstavila. Radi se o nekome ko dolazi iz Crne Gore, ali kao što je sama rekla, ona zapravo dolazi praktično iz celog regiona, pošto je rođena u jednoj zemlji, studirala u drugoj, a u trećoj evo sada radi i živi svoj porodični život. Ona je dakle prevodilac i tumač već 25 godina, akreditovana je za institucije Evropske unije, NATO, Savet Evrope. Jedan je od osnivača Udruženja konferencijskih prevodilaca Crne Gore i Udruženja sudskih tumača Crne Gore i sada je i predsednik tog Udruženja sudskih tumača, a inače je i univerzitetski profesor na Univerzitetu Donja Gorica već 5 godina, a na Crnogorskom univerzitetu već 20 godina. Njena tema ima donekle sličan naslov i slične, da kažem, možda i ideje, kao i tema o kojoj će govoriti Muhamed Durmić, tako da smo ih stavili da govore zajedno, zapravo jedan posle drugoga, pošto ćemo tako zaokružiti jedan segment. Njena tema je uloga strukovnih udruženja u obezbeđivanju svetlije budućnosti za profesiju prevodioca. Jelena, molim te, izađi.
Ovaj kompjuter mora biti ovdje, jel? Ako ne mora, ja bih ga maknu. I apologize, just a second so that I can... This is a great conference, and for inviting me. I was, I think, in your first conference in 2019, and it was the second one. Okay, so it was, for me, it was groundbreaking event because we came together and we talked to each other and we found, you know, people who think alike. And I think the very fact that we came together and shared experience and talked about our problems was the thing that energized us all. And that's why it is very good that we are back again. It is 5 years between these two, or 6, and I think this conference is an upgrade in comparison to that one. And I remember that in that conference in 2019, Sally Bailey was there, and she talked about remote interpreting, distance interpreting. We were, at that time, all quite suspicious. I have to admit, we were like thinking, oh my goodness, she's talking about how we will lose relevance, how we will just stop traveling around. It was one of the fears we felt. But she said at that time, you know, it is going to appear, whether we like it or not. It's better that we take control. So this time when she talked about AI, I was not suspicious at all. I knew that we have to do what she says. And I really think that it is so great that Council of Europe is doing the different analysis, research. I think that is the proper thing to do, and that helps our profession the most. Because if we are stubborn, if we decide that we will do the things old way, we will very soon become irrelevant, I'm sure. So next thing I will do is take a course in AI for interpreters, definitely. Okay, so I just remembered yesterday as well that we are able to adapt. I agree with Sally about that, because it's a horrible thing to say, but I started translating and interpreting when there was no internet. And I really can't imagine how we did the job. So look at us now discussing AI. So my presentation, let me just deal with this, no? No? Yes. So before I start my presentation, I would just like to say that this is purely practical thing. I do research, and those are different types of presentations where you have a lot of statistical data, references to sources, etc. This one is not like that. It's purely practical, but I think it will be more interesting like that. In my presentation, I will speak at the same time about translation and interpretation, because I don't know whether it is specific for Montenegrin market, because it's such a small market, but almost 99% of us do both. I know that those are different skills, that you need to be trained in different ways. I'm completely aware of that, but still we do both. So I will refer to both. The point of view that I have is the point of view of somebody who translates and interprets to English. And I am aware that we have a different perspective. In Montenegro, 90% of interpreters and translators who are professional do English. So the others have a completely different point of view, because there is not enough job for them in comparison to what we do, and they just simply see things in different ways. And I will limit myself to talking about Montenegro. It might look similar to other countries in the region, but I just talk about Montenegro. As for the contents of my presentation, I will first try to give a slight overview about the situation in the market, about situation in the field of education, because as you could hear, I have these two perspectives. And probably the situation is similar. Then I will talk about associations also in Montenegro, give you an overview of what we have, and the challenges that we are faced with, and probably give some suggestions for improvement of the situation. As for the market, in Montenegro, the current situation is that demand is on a decline. First reason for that is that our clients, people in general, think that they speak good English. I don't know whether it will last, but for now, because we had the political change, we now have new people, not necessarily younger people, but new people, and they think that they speak good English. They will probably realize at a certain point that it is not sufficiently good, but for now they don't ask for translators or interpreters. When they ask, it's usually, or when foreign clients bring their own interpreter, then they say, okay, you don't have to translate from English, but I will speak in Montenegrin, so you can translate it into English. So this is how it functions now, but nevertheless, the fact is that the demand is lower. Then we have smaller budgets for projects. I put a picture of US president and his executive orders. This had a huge impact because our clients don't have enough money. There was a couple of months of cancellations of everything that was organized. In addition to Mr. Trump, there are some situations where the project officers forget to plan interpretation at all, assuming that people speak English because they say so, you know, it's vicious circle. And in Montenegro, they tend to use experts who speak local language from Croatia, if it is European Union, or from other countries, but they tend to opt for that because they think that the impact of training, for example, is going to be better. Of course, AI tools, CAT tools, voice recognition, you know, this lovely thing where you record your voice and then it produces some kind of translation. People use it on a daily basis. They walk with a telephone like that and they use that even in meetings. Some of our regular clients reduce their demand because of that. For example, UN office in Montenegro, UN agencies, they translate all the working documents through AI or Google Translate. Only if they have to publish something, they opt for an interpreter. They also hired in-house staff, and the foreign representatives started intensively learning our language. So in a year, they speak fluently, so they don't need any more interpretation. So the conclusion is that demand is on a decline. Also, this is, I think, made worse by tenders and translation or interpretation agencies. These agencies, they operate on a local market, and their behavior is as it is. They try to find work. I'm not here to criticize anybody. I am here to try to identify the challenges. They have to work. They have to take their commission. If they put too high price, if they put always 2 interpreters, 3 interpreters, I know they will earn less. And it's a difficult job. So we have to understand them, but it's a fact that they are not making the situation any better. State bodies in our country have tenders, which is, you know, one thing is guaranteed, and that is that you will win if you have the lowest price. It is sad, but it is true, and I do understand also procurement officers, because I don't know whether it is so in your countries, but in our country, since it is so small, since everybody knows everybody, if you try to do something that does not have very firm basis, you are immediately accused of corruption, of nepotism, of fixing tenders for your friends, etc. So they put lowest bid. And so you get interpretation for, I don't know, 10 euros per hour. It's crazy. The problem with that is that sometimes those agencies use CVs of colleagues who are qualified. They say they don't work based on that tender, but still they won it because they got those CVs. So I think that's the problem that we have to deal with. Those tenders are, by the way, very transparent. You can go to a portal, you can see everything. Who bid for what, how, with whose CV, and every decision, everything is there, but it's in vain. I mean, we are informed, but nothing else. As for the international standards, high standards that are respected in the headquarters, as I said yesterday, tend to be a bit changed when it comes to the local level in our country. Council of Europe is a bright example. Everything is stipulated in the framework contract. And that is good, and I think that is done because of the awareness that somebody might interpret the rules in a different way. So it is, we are very grateful for that, because when they see that in the agencies and in the market, they know what the real rules are. They are aware. So after that, it is more difficult for them to deviate. But also for the Council of Europe, in the latest tender, as I noticed, the ratio between quality and price has changed. It used to be for years 80-20%. Now it's 60-40, unfortunately. But other agencies like OSCE, they pay interpreters at such a low price. They introduced working hours, 8 hours is working day. And they say, okay, it's fixed price, usually is 4 hours, but nevertheless, it's 8 hours in the contract. So we, as an association, we said we don't want to work with you And unless you change it. And they say, we will not change. They just don't work with us. But unfortunately, they found people they work with. They are not members of the association, but they earn money, a bit less, I guess. Not I guess, I know. But still, they take this part of the market. TAIEX in Montenegro is trying to avoid the rules as much as they can. And they work for the European Commission, as I understand. So it's kind of this balance. And we complained a lot because they were granting their contracts to one agency for like 20 years. And in the last tender, they stipulated that only the agency that has experience in interpreting for TAIEX in Montenegro will win the tender. And also if they have interpreters who have experience of interpreting for TAIEX in Montenegro, and that was not according to the Prague rules. So we complained and we won. The contract was not granted to that agency. Now they contact, or they have a kind of, they collect offers for every event. So at least it's a little victory. So the conclusion, tenders make the situation even more bleak, even worse. As for education, as Vesna mentioned, I worked in the University of Montenegro for 20 years, something, and before I went to UDG. At that time, I mean, we did have accreditation test in 2013, but a bit before that, we started working with SCIC, and we developed our own specialist studies. So after 3 or 4 years of bachelor, we had specialist studies in translation and interpretation. Brilliant students, brilliant work. And then we got even the whole translation and interpretation studies from the year 1, bachelor studies, for 2 languages, which was a huge change for Montenegro because it used to be for 1 language only. So we introduced combination French and English and Russian and English. And we had it for like 10, 15 years, but then due to some reforms and smart minds somewhere in the Ministry of Education, we were closed. We produced generations of good translators and interpreters in 2 languages. After that, we got masters in translation and interpretation. As you notice, we have it together. We don't separate it. And when I went to University of Donja Gorica, we opened also the Master of Translation and Interpretation there. So I work according to EMT and DEMC standards, and we train our students, but unfortunately, the number of students is lower and lower. So we don't have, this year I had 3 students, because they say they just don't see the future. So you can't really tell them, well, you should. It's difficult. And when they hear the stories where I go and what I do, and when they see me in the news or somewhere, they would love to do that. And they would love to work hard, but there are less and less opportunities. So I think that our students they did well. They work now mostly in different state institutions and international organizations. They filled in the market. There was a huge demand for interpreters and translators. Now there is not. They are everywhere. They are the staff, because if you produce 20 students per year, or 40, once we had 2 groups of 20 each, it's a small country. You just fill in the market. I think that education in those programs did not focus sufficiently on ethics and behavior in the market. We need to strengthen that in further education, because we were so focused on competencies, on skills, how to make them function properly, behave properly. But we never thought that ethics will be so important, but it is. It is called, the ontology, so the one that you teach them before they make any mistakes. And today, as I said, a smaller number of students. So, a conclusion, lower demand, more interpreters and translators. Results, we have sharper competition now among freelancers. And our freelance interpreters and translators feel insecure. I used to have 5 calls per day, and I used to have my 3 months booked ahead. Now it's not the case. So people have less and less, and they feel more insecure. They are thinking about changing the profession, and because of that, some of them accept lower standards. Just to get an assignment, you have to feed your family. That's what they say. And it influences poorer relations. If you are a witch like me complaining about not respecting the standards, then they just think, oh my goodness, I will not tell her, or I will hide, or accept online assignments where nobody knows. It happens, and we should not think badly about these people. We should just try to stick together. But I don't think people are to be blamed for that. They have to survive. So we just have to find a way to solve it. So I think the way is through associations. I am very passionate about associations. As you heard, I pushed and was one of the founders of the Association of Interpreters and Conference Interpreters of Montenegro, and also of the Association of Certified Legal Translators and Interpreters of Montenegro, which I'm the president of at the moment. I think through associations, at least we sit down and talk about things. At least we see that it's very important to communicate, because you don't know before the people tell you what their problem is. And I think we all have the same problem. And if my calendar is empty, I will feel easier if everybody's is empty, you know? And people think, oh, it's only me, I don't have anything in my calendar. No, it's not, it's all of us, because the situation is like that. And then people relax. And then we talk together about how to do what. And by the way, I also think, sorry. No, I'm now making, I think it is something that we owe to our profession, because the profession, I like our profession very much. I think that it is the nicest, the best profession in the world. I really enjoy it. And I think that it is our duty to leave something to the next generation, some kind of heritage. It's probably, you know, it sounds, I don't know. I don't aspire to make something big, but it is something that you owe to people who will come after you, to know how to behave. And I think if you respect some rules, if you dress properly in your booth, then it is also a sign that you respect your work. So as I said, this AMIC association, Montenegrin Association of Conference Interpreters, there are just 20 of us, but since Montenegro is so small, it's not too many, it's not too small number. There are 6 of us who are accredited for European institutions, 2 additional live in Brussels, and we, it's very personal in Montenegro. We 4 of us worked together in one office in the university for 20 years. So you know everything. It's just completely personal. And then you get angry on a personal level. And then, you know, it's very confusing. I guess in your associations it's the same. But people criticize this association because it's not very active. It's not active in the sense of your association here. But I think still we do have a Viber group, and we exchange ideas. We have even one contract that we signed to work for Socio, some project. And we organize this. Nobody's fighting. It's pretty okay. I think we are ahead of some brighter future there. As for the Certified Legal Interpreters and Translators, it is a very good association, a big association, but unfortunately we don't have mechanisms to achieve anything. You know, we want to change the law at the moment because they put the price, nominal price of a page and an hour of interpretation in the law, which is amazing. And so inflation and everything, it was in 2016, and it's still the same. And everything changed, salaries changed, everything changed, standard of living changed. But our price has not changed. And we are trying to push for at least to change that, but it's not on the European agenda. They just don't want to bother. So it's kind of, we are trying. But the problem is that we don't have, as associations, sufficiently strong mechanism to do anything. I know that if we work hard and if we earn reputation, like in the future, ideally, somebody would call and ask if a person is a member of your association, and if a person is not, then the person will not work, and they will respect us and call us everywhere. But it's a hard work. So for now, we don't have mechanisms. We have nice thoughts, but no mechanism, as I said. Market is small. That's an additional challenge. We have, you know, very small market. We can't do much. You have bigger markets, so probably you can do more. But then, as I said, in sharp competition, ethics is tested on a daily basis. And some people say to me, oh, you interpreters, you translators, you always, you know, betray your ethics and something like that. I said, no, in our case, it's so visible. And it's a very simple test. You either work or you don't. You either earn a living or you don't. So it is not easy to make those decisions for some people. So we are not worse than other professions. Definitely. We are just at the test every day. What we see in the market is that people tend to be flexible in order to get an assignment. And as I said, everything becomes too personal. I told this part. So my suggestions for improvement through the associations is to work on education and training and raising awareness. I know we all know that, but there is no other way, it seems to me. And as I said yesterday, we need to train our colleagues first. If you think they know all, you still have to talk to them, because we need to be sure that everybody knows everything. We need to train the public or educate the public and clients and our students, which is very important. So I have just some steps that might be useful. So first, I think we need to produce some new revised guidelines. We do have a website. We do have some rules and things. And we need to review the guidelines for practice, aligning them with other national organizations, associations, with international organizations like Council of Europe in particular, and European Union employers, and with AIC. We need to promote these first among the colleagues. Then we need to work on the promotion in social networks, probably organize meetings with the clients, like UN, OSCE, etc., or at least send them this by email. And also state bodies, definitely. We need to work with the state bodies in order to make them understand that they don't need the cheapest service. We also need to take part, which is, I think, very important, in the university courses. Students that are just starting in the profession need to be aware of these standards, and we have to take an active role, go to the university, have a lecture from the association, from people who are successful in this profession to the students. That will make it more interesting. It's not the teacher that they usually have, but somebody else, and I think it would be useful. And maybe, as I said yesterday, we could benefit from an AIC outreach event, something like one-day seminar, lecture, or something, presenting AIC to Montenegro, putting to the media, social media, universities, everywhere. So in the conclusions, we are the ones who have to fight for the better future of our profession, not anybody else, but us. Associations are the key, and we have to take AIC as a role model. So I think it's all. Thank you.
Prvo, potpuno se slažem sa svim što je Jelena rekla. Udruženja jesu put da se dopre i do kolega prevodilaca i do raznih institucija i svuda, i uvek treba svojim primerom da pokažemo kako se poštuju pravila. I mi smo vrlo ponosni što smo sa početka, kada smo imali 20-ak članova u našem udruženju, došli do preko 50, time što primamo nove ljude, neki odlaze naravno, ali nove mlade članove kojima želimo da budemo primer i praktično ih uvodimo u posao i pokazujemo i svojim primerom kako se poštuje etika. I praktično, ja mislim da je jako dobro da im se objasni šta i kako se radi, da dođu s nama da vide i da budu u kabini, recimo, sa nekim starijim, jer kako bi oni znali uopšte šta treba da rade i na koji način ako ne vide to? Kako neko ko je tek završio ili sam pokušava na tržištu da se probije može išta da zna? Nije kriv ni za šta, mora da vidi, i kroz tu etiku praktično koju ih podučavamo, a koju su oni uvek spremni da prime, vi ih polako formirate i za buduće članstvo u AIC-u. Jer tek kad ste radili sa nekim dovoljno dugo, kad ste videli kako se ponaša na tržištu, kako se ponaša prema kolegama, spremni ste da ga preporučite dalje. To je vrlo dobar filter, znači to naše lokalno ili da kažem nacionalno udruženje. A sada ćemo imati priliku i čast da čujemo Muhameda Durmića, koji nam dolazi iz Bosne i Hercegovine. On je iskusan prevodilac sa 29 godina prakse. On je karijeru započeo tokom bosanskog sukoba i njemu veruju i međunarodne organizacije, i pojedinci, i preduzeća širom sveta. I kao predsjednik Upravnog odbora Udruženja prevodilaca Bosne i Hercegovine, On premošćuje jezičke i kulturne jazove kao prevodilac, demonstrirajući moć reči u oblikovanju razumevanja. Muhamede, gde si? Tu si, izvoli. Nisi mali, ali nisam te videla, izvoli.
Hello, everyone. Are we ready? Maybe we should see that again with music. Huh? I think that's enough. So who says interpreters cannot do impossible missions? I'm sure you guessed what my mission was here.
Can we see the landing?
That's in the next episode. So, of course, my mission was to show some of our advantages today. 29 years ago, I interpreted officially for the first time. And yes, that was back when remote interpreting meant shouting across the corridor. Hey, Muhammad. Yes, sir. Can you tell that guy to move ox? Sorry, sir, what fox? No, box. Okay. See, sound was always an issue with distance interpreting, but I survived. The world of interpreting has evolved, and this change brings many new opportunities. Today, the question isn't will interpreting survive, but rather how we'll thrive. So, welcome to Interpreter 3.0. My goal today is simple, to provide some clarity and maybe give a roadmap, not just to survive the change, but to thrive and lead in it. Why is this not showing on the screen? Okay. Tech moves fast. Clients expect us on call yesterday. And the market keeps shifting to hybrid and AI-powered setups. Unfortunately, some colleagues are leaving, not because they can't interpret, but because they can't adapt. We've heard from Sally yesterday how crucial adaptability actually is. What's the actual situation? Well, the surveys show more interpreters are leaving than entering the profession. In US, nearly 40% of sign language interpreters said they would leave within 5 years. Even the EU had to sound the alarm. And a while back, they warned us that as a wave of veteran English interpreters retired, the numbers coming on stream are not sufficient to meet demand. In other words, we are losing capacity. What about the training schools? We have fewer students. And AI, it's nibbling at tasks. In a 2023 Global Slater survey, over half of freelance linguists said requests for their services had dipped in the past year, and the majority blamed AI for this. Now, of course, if you're an interpreter in Bosnia, you're more likely to be threatened by something else rather than AI. I was going to use my colleague Goga for this, but given that she's in the booth, I'll just say what the threat is. We have decomposing booths pretty much. So you're more likely threatened by a roof. See, my colleagues from Serbia know what I'm talking about. AI will have a hard time taking your place in our booths. But around the world, however, many interpreters are feeling the impact. In fact, over 50% have even considered switching careers amid these shifts. But is everything so dark, though? Now, this is where we shine. We don't just deliver words. We deliver calm, reassurance, empathy, and trust. Just think of all times when you created a rapport with a client through your voice and body language. A nervous speaker relaxes when you nod, smile, and steady the rhythm. Remember that we become the client's partner in communication. We become a center of gravity, someone who eases the interaction. Humanity is our superpower, and no app can give that. Now, honestly, when was the last time that AI interpreter gave you a reassuring smile? Let me share a quick true story with you that taught me what human presence really means. Back in the 90s, when Bosnian War was still not over, I interpreted for a very energetic EU parliamentarian who was known by her sharp words. As the discussion heated up, she delivered some really sharp words in a very tense meeting with local politicians and military. Of course, I interpreted everything she said faithfully, but suddenly I saw faces harden. And there were plenty of guns there, let me tell you that. I quickly realized my role went beyond mere words. I wasn't just a voice converting one language into another. I had to be a steady presence. By staying measured and aware of cultural differences, I kept the dialogue alive. So what was the result? The result was later that a member of the delegation came and told me, "You were our anchor in there. We kept calm because you were calm." That's when I knew interpreting is actually about presence. Of course, our toolkit today is much broader. We have digital for prep, we have soft skills for diplomacy, business savvy for visibility, and creative interpreting to move beyond word for word when allowed, of course. Think of us as interpreters upgraded. But please, let's not shy away from technology either. It's a powerful ally. Today, we can use technology for personal and client benefits in many different ways. But given how vast that subject is, of course, we cannot cover it today. This isn't a solo sport. We've heard this yesterday in your presentation, I believe. Both partners are allies. You want to rely on them. I'm sure you've all heard of the term co-petition. It's a portmanteau of cooperation and competition. Clients love teams who make their lives easier. And last time I checked, AI doesn't do teamwork. Interpreter 3.0 never stops. We learn, we share, we mentor, we lead. Growth isn't optional, it's survival. And yes, CPD hours do count, believe it or not, as long as you don't sleep through them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's your turn. I would kindly ask you to go to Slido, grab your devices, scan the code or use one of the methods on the screen, and tell us what's your Interpreter 3.0 superpower. All those witty answers will get bonus points. Let's see what we get. Izvini, što se ovo ne prikazuje? Ovo,
Jel to je Chrome?
to nije dio. Da, Chrome.
Gdje je taj tab?
Molim?
Ovo je taj tab.
Da. Ok.
Samo stavite koji je.
Baš moj mail, molim te. Stavio si moj mail.
Samo moment, bez panike.
Izvukao se, taj slajd nije tu.
Koji?
Ne.
Koji je slajd?
Ovaj. Da.
Izvucite ga posebno. Tako.
Evo ja ću. Wow, energetic smile and wit power. Human intelligence, diplomacy, knowing my place. This is a good one. Super. I think we're all done with that. We have some big ones here. Empathy, understanding, soft skills, patience. You see how many human qualities we have to offer. And I find this one really interesting, harnessing AI. Thank you very much for this. As we close, ladies and gentlemen, remember, words can be automated, presence cannot. Interpreter 3.0 is the trusted, adaptable, not an image, but a human who makes communication meaningful. That's why we're indispensable. Let's keep our profession alive, evolving, and above all, human. If you'd like to continue the conversation about the future of AI, future of interpretation with AI, and how we can thrive in this age, my contact details are on the screen. Together, we shape the future communication. Thank you for listening.
Čuli smo opet nešto veoma zanimljivo, a i duhovito. a i videli smo koliko svašta znamo i koliko možemo da pomognemo klijentima. I stvarno mislim da je pored ove komunikacije sa drugim prevodiocima i širenja etike i znanja na svaki način i jezika i terminologije i ponašanja, da je jednako važno upravo i da komuniciramo sa tim klijentima i da im ukažemo na to što im dodatno pružamo. I da ne kažemo ova cena vam je za 2 sata prevođenja. Ne. U toj ceni ima svačega. Ima pripreme, ima, kao što je i Haris govorio juče, znači ima pripreme, ali ima i mnogo te pomoći i uvek treba da se nekako postavimo da smo na istoj strani sa klijentima. Znači mi zajedno možemo da učinimo da ovaj vaš događaj bude izvanredan. Imajte poverenja u mene i u kolege, u tim, u one koji organizuju, ako mi organizujemo neki deo, znači prevođenje, imajte poverenje u nas upravo zbog svega ovoga što je Muhamed rekao i to je to i uverenje neko i dajete im i samopouzdanje. Znate i sami koliko imamo klijenata koji su nesigurni, koji nešto treba da govore prvi put, koji organizuju i brinu se silno, od toga im zavisi možda posao ili nešto. Znači upravo sve ovo što je Muhamed govorio je strašno značajno. I mi prodajemo i to. Tako da nikako ne smemo jeftino da se prodamo. To je onako neki zaključak. A sada ide mala sesija pitanja i odgovora za prethodna 2 govornika. Sad ne znam da li ima ovaj mikrofon. Evo ga.
Ja bih prvo da čestitam i na jednoj i na drugoj prezentaciji. Zaista su bile fantastične obe i mislim da su stvarno targetirale baš one prave stvari koje su, da kažem, ključne ako govorimo o napređenju naše profesije. Osvrnula bi se na ono što je Jelena rekla, apropo poslova koje dobijamo na tenderima ili ne dobijamo, uglavnom ih ne dobijamo, ali mislim da kada ih je prilika, kada ih eventualno i dobijemo, mislim da se tu otvaraju baš ona vrata koja su nam potrebna da iznutra zagovaramo zašto je dobro da ta profesija, odnosno da ta usluga koju mi nudimo bude, da kažem, stručno i kvalitetno pružena. I to nije nikakav težak zadatak, jer onog trenutka kada uđete na takva mesta, zaista imam, da kažem, imala sam prilike i sama to da činim, jer dosta, da kažem, radimo i za državne institucije. Vrlo brzo shvate vašu prednost. Šta je to što im nudite naspram onih koji to ponude po niskoj ceni i koji se, da kažem, udaljavaju od standarda profesije koju rade. Tako da mislim da treba da to radimo i iznutra. Ono što ste rekli, I speak English, je ono što ćete često čuti od svih tih državnih zvaničnika, ali kada treba ostrašćeno da govorite, kao što sada ja govorim, onda mnogo rađe biraju da govore na svom jeziku. I tu je upravo sada nastupa sve ono čemu je Muhamed jako lepo govorio, gde mi onda više nismo samo prevodioci. Vi ste tu da im date vremena da porazmisle o onome o čemu će da kažu. Kako će da odgovore na pitanje koje nisu očekivali. A to će imati prilike da urade u onom periodu dok vi za njih prevodite. Vi ste tu da budete njihovo sidro, kako je to Muhamed isto lepo rekao, da zaista možda i smirite situaciju. I mislim da tim načinom na koji radimo treba upravo da onda dokazujemo zašto je važno da kažem, da to radimo u skladu sa najvišim standardima. Jelena, ja moram jedino da priznam, vi ste pokazali, da kažem, jedno razumevanje za one koji se udaljavaju od tih standarda govoreći da govoreći da, eto, oni će da ponude nižu cenu zato što moraju da prehrane svoju porodicu. Svi to mi moramo da radimo. Niko ovo ne radi zato što nam je dosadno pa smo odlučili da budemo u prevođenju. Svi ovo radimo da bismo prihranili svoje porodice. I mislim da je važno da onima koji se odlučuju za dumping i udaljavanje od standarda, treba da im objasnimo, to je ono što ja govorim i kolegama, kada dobijete posao zato što ste spustili cenu, a ne daj Bože udaljili ste se od standarda pa ste rekli ne, za posao 2 ljudi ponudit ću 1 čoveka. Samo ste sebi učinili medveđu uslugu. Izvinjavam se prevodiocima, ne znam kako beše medveđa usluga na engleskom. Samo ste sebi učinili medveđu uslugu iz razloga što ste taj isti posao mogli da radite sa nama po višoj ceni i po boljim standardima. Tako da još uvek nemam to razumevanje, radim na tome da imam, ali mislim da je to treba. Ali u svakom slučaju sjajne prezentacije i hvala vam puno na svemu što ste rekli.
Da, odlične prezentacije obe, maksimalno i svaka na svoj način baš ono u sridu, ko što bi rekli Dalmatinci. A ne znam kako se to prevodi. Bullseye, evo, hvala. Spomenula je Jelena da je problem, ja se bavim osim sa konferencijskim prevođenjem u zadnje vrijeme pre svega sa ovim sudskim prevođenjem, odnosno tumačenjem. Jelena je spomenula da je u Crnoj Gori problem što su stavili tarife u zakon. U Sloveniji smo napravili isto, ali ne u zakon, nego smo ih stavili u taj secondary legislation, u jedan pravilnik koje izdaje ministarstvo. I to je ispalo za jako dobro. Zato što je tamo navedeno da imamo, šta se ono kaže, indeksaciju, dakle da se usklađuje sa inflacijom koja je sad svugde, naravno da je u nekim zemljama u tom regionu još veća nego u EU, ali u EU isto postoji. Pa dobro, sad piše, pa onda mi to kao sudu ispostavljamo svoje troškovnike, pa onda oni to prihvaćaju ili ne prihvaćaju, ali bar imamo zakonsku podlogu da to možemo. Tako da objavljivanje nekih referentnih cena je jako dobro, jer možeš da se nešto referišeš na to i kažeš, vidite, to je ta cena po kojoj se to radi. I osobito ako iza toga stoji neko ministarstvo. Druga stvar što želim da napomenem, jedna od načina da mi moramo da edukujemo svoje klijente cijelo vrijeme, ali na kakav način? To je veliki problem zato što klijenti u prosjeku, pa bez obzira, ja govorim sad za Sloveniju koju dobro poznajem, ali vidim i u toj u Hrvatskoj gdje sam sad sve više prisutna, klijenti u stvari znaju sve manje kakva im usluga treba. Njima je sve manje jasno šta naručuju. Njima je sve manje jasno kako se organizuje jedan događaj. I sad, kako njima to objasniti, a da ih pritom ne uvrediš? Mlađe generacije su uz to još sve manje razumeju zašto treba tu nešto, neki ljudski element, zašto ne bi to napravio AI, i engleski je naravno puno seksiji od bilo kojih naših jezika, osobito za mlade. Mladi su ti koji od nas naručuju, mladi su ti koji veruju više umjetnoj inteligenciji ili tehnologiji nego čoveku. I to nije naš problem, samo naš kao našeg profesije, to je civilizacijski problem. I mi se sad tu stvarno borimo, odnosno pokušavamo objasniti nešto, to je borba sa vetrenjačama. Mi mislim da moramo da budemo toga svesni. Mi ne možemo da govorimo, mi moramo da standarde poštujemo, kad s druge strane ovaj koji naručuje uopšte ne zna šta naručuje, a kamoli šta je to standard. Mi moramo to naravno da njima na neki način objasnimo i to je najteže. Na najprihvatljiviji način. Jedan od načina kojim sam se ja počela služiti je da se povezujem, dakle ne u smislu lobiranja, nego u smislu edukacije određenih grupa ovih naručitelja, odnosno određenih targeted audiences. U smislu, recimo, kad govorimo o sudskom tumačenju, mi imamo zakon u Sloveniji, tu smo nas dve surađivale već, i to sve može da bude krasno kodifikovano. To može da bude zakon ili bilo šta, može da bude ISO standard i tako dalje. Šta nam to pomaže kad ljudi koji bi morali to da poznaju, ne poznaju? Dakle, ja sam u Hrvatskoj sa dvije hrvatske koleginice organizirala obrazovanje za sudije za rad sa sudskim prevodiocima. I to je jedan jako dobar način, to je, mislim, ispalo je to u okviru Hrvatske pravosudne akademije, to je ispalo jedan jako dobar način da se naš posao približi nekom našem klijentu, ali u smislu partnerstva. Cijeli taj kurikulum je bio postavljen u smislu mi smo partneri, vi radite isto što i mi smo rad suda, mi smo deo suda. Vi ne samo da možete nama da verujete, nego vi se možete na nas obratiti na neki način za pomoć. Mi možemo vama da pomognemo ovo ono, ali zanimljivo je bilo slušati te sudije koji su dolazili iz cijele Hrvatske i koji imaju mnogo godina iskustva. Oni su to slušali, njima je to pomoglo kod njihovog rada. Njih smo osveštavali kako mogu, recimo šta ja znam, imali smo vežbe za glas, imali smo vežbe za govor, imali smo vežbe sve ono što mi radimo za sebe. Rekli smo, evo gledajte, i vama će to pomoći. I jedan takav, i s time bi se recimo stvarao, može se to da napravi i za recimo advokate, govorimo o sudskom prevođenju, i za advokate, pa se recimo o advokatskim komorama. Može se da to napravi i za notare, može se, recimo govorimo samo o pravu, a s druge strane imamo medicinu koji isto trebaju naše usluge. Imamo, ajde pomognite me, masu drugih oblasti gdje su, evo, arhitekte, na primjer, istoričari umjetnosti, šta ja znam ko. U stvari njima po meni nekako moramo njih da edukujemo kao grupe kako bi onda oni shvatili gdje i mi možemo pomoći. A to je taj soft work koji je besplatan, kojeg ne možete naplatiti, koji zahteva veliki osobni angažman, naravno osim osobnog znanja, poznavanja, ali svi mi imamo kroz godine mnogo poznanstva, veza u navodnicima. Dakle, mi znamo ko nas sluša, mi znamo kod organizatora ko je taj koji odlučuje. Pa onda ako možemo na neki mekan način doći do nekoga ko odlučuje da on kaže ok, treba nam sudski prevodioc ili treba nam konferencijski prevodioc zato i zato. Ili možda mi ćemo da promijenimo program ako nam je ovo preskupo i stvarno nemamo ovih sredstava, što se stalno dešava svugde. Možda ćemo napraviti tako da je, ajde, naš dan je nedeljiv, ok, ali imamo pola dana koji je isto za dvoje. Pa možemo reći, ok, dopodne ćemo imati delo gdje se prevodi, a popodne ne. Recimo i ovaj dan što se sada dešava. I to bi moglo, recimo, i to možemo u nekom kontaktu direktno da sugerišemo, ali sad način kako se to radi, to je meni osobno najteže u tim komunikacijama. Samo sam htjela, to je jedan deo o kome nismo govorili, sam to htjela da dodam.
Šta piše u podzakonskom aktu za cenu?
A za cenu, za slovenačku cenu u podzakonskom aktu definisana je cena na karticu, 1500 znakova bez razmaka. Kod nas je bez razmaka, u Hrvatskom je sa razmakom, ne znam kako u Srbiji. Dobro, sad to je, ne? Definirana je cena sa slovenačkog, iz stranog na slovenački, sa slovenačkog na strani i sa stranog na strani. Mi imamo visoke tarife, mogu da vam kažem, sa stranog na slovenački 35 eura na karticu, sa stranog na slovenački 41 i sa stranog na strani je 43. To su odlične cene. Ali sad opet, jedno je što piše, a drugo što se radi. Čak i u Sloveniji i čak i u Europskoj uniji. Dakle, jedino sudovi drže se te tarife. Jer oni moraju. Ali imamo, šta ja znam, pravo, branilaštvo ili šta ja znam, tužilaštvo i to. Oni daju tendere. Sada, kada iziđe tender sa nižim cenama od strane nekog tela u okviru Ministarstva pravosuđa, onda se mi kao udruženja postavljamo javna pitanja. Mi imamo čak 2 udruženja sudskih prevodioca ili tumača. Onda se postavlja pitanje kako vi možete da postavljate tender kontra svome pravilniku koji ste vi sami izdali i tako dalje. Ali to je sad u praksi neka borba, neki rad kao udruženje, ali imamo referentnu tačku. To je bit. I nije možda loše da se negde neke cene objave i to što više. Pa onda možete da kažete ok, recimo osobito dobiti posao ili ne dobiti posao. Pa kažete u redu, razumem da nemate posla i napišete na računu, odnosno da nemate para za organizaciju. Napišete na računu, dajem vam puni dan i dajem vam u ovom slučaju, ne znam, 10-20% popusta ili bilo šta, da se vidi onda na računu da ostaje negde u svesti ljudi koja je cena i da postoje ljudi svesni koliko mi njima dajemo džabe. Tako da možemo i čak i da dodamo to što sam ja, recimo, još jedna stvar koja je, i mi nemamo studenata u Sloveniji, niti u Ljubljani, niti u Mariboru gdje imamo te naše studije i to je opšti trend, ali mlade nećemo sa time da samo govorimo da mi postojimo i da smo dobri i da imamo standarde, mi njih nećemo nikako na taj način da privučemo. Oni će reći to su neki stari tamo koji misle da možemo na stari način. I gotovo. Mislim, tu nema šanse. Jedino ako neko počne da već radi, dakle ima još jedan deo gdje mislim da ih moramo da ih edukujemo, o tome šta u stvari rade. Recimo, postoji jedan veliki, ne znam, u Sloveniji postoji jedan cijeli pool prevoditelja koji su na rosteru Ministarstva unutrašnjih poslova. Oni imaju svoj način, nije loše plaćeno, ali je drugačije. Oni pojma, dakle ljudi koji pišu to u Ministarstvu unutrašnjih poslova nemaju pojma o našim, ne samo pravilima, nego našim potrebama i mogućnostima šta se može. Policija ima svoje. To su ljudi koji rade taj posao, uopšte ne znaju šta rade. Mnogi od njih rade odlično. Da ne govorimo o raznim, mislim, ima jako puno vidika na terenu, ali glavno je to. Sve se jako brzo menja. Dakle, to se brže menja nego u bilo kojem trenutku istorije do sada. Jedini način da mi preživljavamo u svemu tome i našu profesiju nekako zadržimo je da ju menjamo i da budemo fleksibilni. Mi treba da imamo strukturu, ali neku fleksibilnost i prilagođavanje moramo da održimo, odnosno moramo da budemo brži od promene. Moramo da ko je rekao neko o strategiji? Neko je citirao. Da, ali ne, neko je citirao strategija je onaj koji zna šta treba da radi kad nema šta da se radi. Evo, to sam se samo nadovezala, ja mislim na sve što je bilo do sada rečeno, ali glavno je to, povežimo se sa onima koje poznajemo i pokušamo im objasniti šta mi radimo i kako mogu oni koji deo toga što mi radimo u stvari je njima pomoć i možemo njima da odradimo. Evo, samo toliko.
Evo, ako smijem brzo, jer mislim da moram izaći iz sobe uskoro. Hvala, bila su vrlo zanimljiva izlaganja i moram priznati, kolega Mohamed, da se već dugo nisam naježila kad sam nekoga slušala kako govori. Hvala vam na tome. Htjela sam se osvrnuti do duše na izlaganje kolegice iz Crne Gore. Ja sam također bila 2018. na ovoj konferenciji i sjećam se da ste vi tada izlagali. I ako se dobro sjećam, vi ste tada rekli da u Crnoj Gori ne postoji udruženje, tako da vam kao prvo čestitam što ste očito uspjeli to promijeniti. Vi ste govorili o tome da smo mi mali i da se mi svi znamo. Mislim da je to prednost koju trebamo iskoristiti. U Hrvatskoj je 90% trenera, uključujući mene, za konferencijsko prevođenje na poslijediplomskom studiju, su članovi našeg strukovnog udruženja i akreditirani prevoditelji za europske institucije. Znači, mi se svi znamo. I recimo, kada ste govorili o tome da imamo nedovoljno etike u obrazovanju, evo, to je razlog zbog kojeg je HDKP počeo recimo surađivati sa tim studijem na Sveučilištu u Zagrebu, zato što se mi svi znamo, pa možemo vrlo jednostavno uspostaviti kontakt. I mi svaki put kad se studij održava, dođemo njima na nastavu i održimo im predavanje o profesionalnoj etici. Ali ne činimo to samo za studente poslijediplomskog studija konferencijskog prevođenja koji se konkretno pripremaju za tu profesiju, nego smo počeli i kontaktirati sveučilišta u drugim hrvatskim gradovima i počeli smo dolaziti studentima jezičnih usmjerenja, drugih prevoditeljskih studija. I s tim istim malo prilagođenim predavanjem, gdje zapravo predstavljamo profesiju konferencijskog prevođenja, gdje predstavljamo djelomično i mogućnosti rada za europske institucije, jer kod nas je to naravno ono što je najzanimljivije u tom segmentu, gdje uvijek govorimo i o AIK-u, zato što je AIK nama uzor u svemu što mi radimo i zato što su naši standardi, naš etički kodeks, to je sve napravljeno po uzoru na AIK, vjerovatno kao i svim drugim regionalnim udruženjima. I tu zapravo se obraćamo mladim ljudima koji možda i neće završiti u toj profesiji, ali možda hoće i onda nam je važno da su barem jednom čuli za to da postoji nekakva profesionalna etika, da postoje nekakvi standardi. I ako je jedan od njih to zapamtio i možda odlučio primijeniti, kad počne se baviti tim poslom, mi smo već puno napravili. To je borba sa vjetrenjačama, ali ja vas mogu samo ohrabriti u tome da upravo poslušate vlastite savjete i pokušate to isto napraviti. Za to vam treba manpower, odnosno woman power kod nas u pravilu, jel da? Jer to zahtijeva da vam kolega bude spreman sjesti u auto, odvesti se u Split, Zadar, Pulu, nemam pojma, kod vas je to malo lakše, odraditi to predavanje, vratiti se, mi to sve radimo volonterski, ali mi to sve radimo zato što smo uvjereni u to da je to pravi put. I treba mladim ljudima reći da je utrka prema dnu utrka u kojoj svi gubimo. Uvijek. Jednostavno to ne može biti dobro ni za koga. Tako da, ako ćemo tu poruku jednostavno neumorno prenositi, možda se kod nekog primi.
A i kad mu objasnite da zapravo šta mi sve radimo, a ne samo tih 2 sata ili 1 dan ili nešto. I kao, mislim, da čujemo posle još par ljudi, ali pa da idemo na pauzu i možemo i neformalno na pauzi da razgovaramo, ali upravo možemo i da izvučemo rezime, znači komunikacije u svim pravcima, da komuniciramo. Ako mi to ne radimo, ko će? Da se zalažemo za sebe, svoju profesiju, standarde i svi se baziramo na AIK-u i AIK-u hvala, zato što i mi prepisujemo to, možda nešto malo smanjimo što se tiče tehničkih standarda. Recimo, mi smo prethodne tehničke standarde iz AIK-a pokušali da, zapravo Nevena i ja smo napravili 2 papira, vrlo mala, po pola stranice ili 1, koje dajemo klijentima za slučaj daljinskog prevođenja i za slučaj običnog konferencijskog prevođenja, šta je potrebno od opreme i koji su zahtevi od veličine kabine do opreme, slušalica. Nismo išli sad u ne znam kakve vrste i tako, ali to je nešto što uvek može da se pokaže klijentu i što bi se reklo komunikacija pa komunikacija i negde ćemo istići. Haris, you will come after.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience to be here. And I'd like to congratulate all the professional associations that are so vibrant. It is wonderful to see. I saw that the Montenegro Association is interested in AIK outreach. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And I reached out also to Nazan, who's the chair of CACL. CACL is the Commission for Admissions. And she explained to me a bit how we can go about getting our Montenegro colleagues on board in AIK. I can give you the information, and I also can give you the email address so you can contact them directly. But what has been done in other regions is that we've brought CACL, the Commission for Admissions, online to explain the process for onboarding in AIC. That gives the possibility for people to directly ask the questions or to know how it can be done. So I propose that for all the professional associations here, we organise an online event, and then if there's need, we can go regionally and we can have events in person, which are also important. So I think that's a good first step, and let's take it from here.
Thank you. Many thanks to Yelena and Mohammed. They are somewhere here, I think. It's part of my learning experience here. So, given that I hope you know on whose side I am, I think I can be a bit pragmatic or even cynical, reminding once again that all this boils down to what do we do for the profession. It's again up to us. The market is very simple. The clients will go for what is fit for purpose. The question is, well, save some corruption cases, but our countries know about that. But for the 90%, the question is, do they know what is fit for purpose? It's, again, up to us to educate them. And I will give you a very brief example. 40% of our turnover is in translation. We have a separate translation department. We do a lot of translations for UK law firms, very, very demanding. Someday they said, we will try AI, we will not need your services for this project. I said, no problem, we can do that for you. We will sell you the AI. We have software, not just CAD tools, trained, well, neural, quote-unquote, machines, etc. So they had, let's say, 30 documents. We pre-translated everything for a 10% of the fee. And then they said, okay, out of these 30 documents, we will need the 7, for example, but we need a perfect translation. And we did that. We kept the client. That's how you take advantage of everything, of all recent developments to keep a client. My message yesterday, I should have said that yesterday, we're not afraid of AI. We sell AI, just like we sell ours on Interactive or Kudo or whatever. That's how we will survive. And also procurement departments. Of course, these people do not know. That's normal. They sell, someone said yesterday, toilet paper and or for printers. That's normal. It's our task to educate them, send them the standard, talk to them, or talk to the president or the CEO or somebody else in the company. You will gain something at the end of the day. If we don't do it, then no one will ever do it for us. Even when we educate them, then we need to re-educate because someone changed in the procurement department. So you have to start all over again. And also the word dumping. Technically, you know that very well, that there's no dumping. The question is conditions, working conditions. If you work solo 3 hours, you will never go back. It's as simple as that. If you sell interpretation for €1, you can increase your prices with time. But working conditions is the worst thing that can happen in our market. Someone mentioned, I think, Yelena, TAIEX. TAIEX, for years in Greece, they were requesting one interpreter for the whole day. We said no, no, and no. But we did not limit ourselves to that. We wrote to Digitrade. We said, these guys, the notorious Secoforma, I think I can say that among colleagues, they're not doing things properly. I'm sorry, they're not serving your needs properly. So we wrote to Digitrade, and we kept saying, Secoforma, this is not right. 5 years down the road, they came back to us. Now they're used to interpreters. That was a win. But this is, and I will wrap it up here. This is, once again, the proof that with systematic effort and collective effort, I will keep underlining that, it's collective effort. No one has the resources to do it alone. So this is real life for us, and good luck to all of us. But I'm really optimistic. on what we can do. Thank you.
First, I knew that I will provoke discussions, and I'm very happy for that. And I will just go briefly through what you commented, because I just don't want to have things unfinished. First of all, the colleague said that they don't have tolerance at all for people who work against the standards. I think I have overcome that. I think I was too angry for a too long time with the people, because it's not really that they don't know. You don't have to explain to them. They know. And they know that you know that they know. And it's like, you can just be furious, and it is not constructive. So you sit down and you say, okay, why does this person do that? You try to deal with the kind of problem. Okay, there is one thing I said, we have no sanctions. I never call such a person to work with me again. I say to everyone that I know, that's the only mechanism. But on the other side, I have developed the attitude that I'm not angry anymore. I, in a way, try to deal with that way. Another thing, you said when we get a tender, we have to educate our clients, etc. We do that on a daily basis. I didn't even mention that. We keep saying that. Our problem is when there is no difference in quality. I have a tender for Council of Europe. There is a group of people who works perfectly well, accredited interpreters, etc., etc. Win the tender, that's fine. Next time, another group of people, but also of high quality accredited interpreters, go with the agency and reduce the price in half. I can't compete with the quality because they are of high quality. It's just that they felt they want that at a lower price. So it's not so easy. The problem is when people who should defend your standards don't. That's where we have a problem. As for the certified interpreters, it's excellent that we have the price in the law. The problem is, because if you have the price in the law, when they adopted it, it was rather normal. And then it reflected other prices. Because you say, well, for certified interpretation, it's 20 euro per page, so without certification is 18. Lovely. But then the situation changed, the inflation and everything. And if you want to change the law, you have to go to the parliament. And can you imagine going into Montenegrin parliament now? They can't vote. I mean, it's, it's crazy. The ministry has so many laws on the list for European integration purposes. They don't want to tackle that even. So what we proposed at that time, they did not accept. And we propose it now, that it is not a fixed price, that it is a percentage of gross average salary for the previous year. That is the change that will help us a lot. So that's it. And as for the cooperation with other professionals like judges, we do that. We do that within the Council of Europe project because we managed as an association of legal interpreters to go into the project as one of the participants. And then we sit down in workshops with lawyers, judges, prosecutors, police officers, notaries, enforcement officers, and we discuss with them what the challenges are. We try to understand each other and help each other, and I think it's perfect. As for the tenders, the same happens with us. The Ministry of Justice opens a tender for translation, and they request your offer for court or certified translation, and that is the price that is given in the law, so they directly violate the law, the Ministry of Justice. The answer that I got was, well, if we respected all the laws, I was like, I was shocked. I was shocked. And, I have personal contact with everyone. It's not that they don't know, we keep selling them. I'm happy to hear that you do the things in Croatia that make sense. And I think that what I proposed is exactly what you do. And so I will just go on this. As for cacoforma, or whatever it is pronounced, sacoforma, okay, sacoforma, we managed to annul their tender. we were very persistent, but it is personal enthusiasm. If we wrote to everyone in the delegation of the European Union and in the Commission, whichever address we could, because those conditions were absolutely against the Prague rules. But we were skillful enough to find the rules and everything, so now what they do is that they collect bids for every single event. And they always ask for one interpreter. And I have a colleague, the two of us always answer, this is not for one interpreter, this is for two interpreters. I propose this one. And she answered, she wrote the same, and we get the tenders, 2 contracts, each of us for 1 assignment. And we are doing this for a year now. Sometimes we get, sometimes we don't. But for every single training, we do the same. But they still keep asking for one. But nevertheless, they work with 2. But it is strange. So now we go to break. Yes, sorry, thank you.
ja bih vas zamolila da se svi vratimo, pošto prilično kasnimo, pa da poslušamo još dva govornika. Molim vas. Kafa tu stoji, pa možete i da pijete dok slušate, multitasking.
Moramo da počnemo, pa svi će nam se polako pridružiti. Imamo samo dva kratka obraćanja. Vi ste, gospođo, hteli nešto da kažete ili postavite pitanje, a ti, Tina, imaš jednu najavu i onda prelazimo na druge govornike, pa i posle njih će moći da se postavljaju pitanja. Evo, može ovde, pošto ne znam. Evo ga, dobro je.
I just wanted to make a comment with regard to everything that was said. The Macedonian Association exists for 15 years, and we've made everything that was just suggested or made by other colleagues, except that in our country we do not have a law or a rule book regulating prices, nor legal or certified translation and interpretation. We've made attempts, we've been on 3 meetings with 3 different justice ministers, but nothing happened afterwards. We've also approached the Judicial Academy suggesting training courses for judges, prosecutors. They've said fine funds. We don't do anything for free, not even attend the training courses for free. So this is how it ended. We'll do our best. We prepare documents. And just one more comment. We approached the UN country office, suggesting them that they should, let's say, revise their rates because they have not changed for 15 years. 3 of us here are on the roster of translators and interpreters. We still sign yearly service contracts with them. But after we went on the meeting trying to explain and provide arguments why this should be done, we are no longer invited to translate or interpret for them. So I have to tell you that. So there have been repercussions for what we do. I assume in other countries as well, but we will still continue with our efforts. This is just what I want to say. And there is a website, mata.mk, so feel free to go. There is an English version with all the documents that we have prepared so far.
Hvala na informaciji. Baš nam je to i trebalo. Tina, najava i onda zovemo sledećeg govornika, a to će biti Lukrecija Maljković-Atanasovska.
Nije najava, više je apel. Ja bih u ime sudskih prevodilaca, pošto sam ovde i kao predstavnik Udruženja sudskih prevodilaca, da ukažem na veliku potrebu razvoja konsekutivnih veština kod sudskih prevodilaca i simultanih. Oni koji rade, Gordana Najčević dosta radi, ako se ne moram, za specijalno tužilaštvo, pa to zna. Ja sam vrlo i aktivna kao sudski prevodilac i svedočim velikom nedostatku veština konsekutivnog prevođenja među sudskim prevodiocima. I mislim da bi ih dobro trebalo, da kažem, da ih edukujemo, jer nekako se nefer sudsko prevođenje vezivalo samo za pisano. Mnogo više i sve više radimo usmeno, kako pred sudijama, tužiocima i javnim beležnicima koji su od 2014. postavljeni. Tu imamo jednu, da kažem, onog side translation i konsekutivnog prevođenja. Mislim da moramo tu negde da radimo i na tome. Tako da je to više apel, manje najava. Hvala puno.
Hvala. Sada najavljujem Lukreciju Maljković-Atanasovski, koja je doktor nauka i direktorka Akademije protokola Makedonije i konsultant za međunarodni korporativni bonton i diplomatski protokol, sertifikovana od strane Škole protokola u Vašingtonu. Ona je iskusan konferencijski prevodilac za makedonski, hrvatski i engleski jezik i akreditovana je pri Evropskoj uniji, a dolazi nam iz Makedonije. Pa to mi ne piše, izvinjavam se. Znači, evo, i predsjednik Makedonskog udruženja prevodilaca. Izvolite.
Okay, now something completely different. Diplomatic protocol and interpreting. As the introduction said, I have been an interpreter for 38 years. Somebody said there was no internet at the time. When I started, dinosaurs walked the earth. And also I have been working as a diplomatic or chief of protocol for a few state institutions and a few diplomatic missions. So my presentation is going to be a combination of both diplomatic protocol officer and interpreter. Because we have only 20 minutes, I'm going to stick only to consecutive interpretation, because for simultaneous interpreters, diplomatic protocol is not that important. I mean, it is important, but there are not many rules that you need to know. Consecutive interpreting requires some knowledge about diplomatic protocol, not all of it, but at least something that will help you in your job, although I'm sure that most of you have worked for VIPs and you still will. So, these are some of the glimpses of my work. We will skip that. What is diplomatic protocol? It's part of diplomacy, and diplomacy is part of international policy and law. So in order to understand diplomatic protocol, we need to know a little bit about diplomacy. We're not going to go into it, but this is just to tell you, which I'm sure you know, how important we are for any VIP event. We should be treated, I'm speaking now as an interpreter, we should be treated as a valuable, if not the most important member of the delegation. Nothing can ruin a well-prepared event than bad interpreting. Unfortunately, not all politicians know about this. And sometimes we are treated, we are accommodated in cheaper hotels. People forget that we need to eat, and so on and so forth. But we also have some responsibilities. Our mistake, our faux pas, means a faux pas, a mistake of the delegation. A mistake of the delegation can mean a mistake of the country. Any diplomatic faux pas can ruin bilateral relations between two countries. That is why our role of interpreters is very, very important. And we have witnessed so many mistakes in interpreting, so we all know that. There are two main words that we, the protocol officers, like to mention. One is protocol and one is etiquette. I would just like briefly to explain the difference. Protocol is universal. It means that in 95% of the cases, protocol rules are absolutely the same in every country. If it is said that the carpet needs to be red, it has to be red. We don't have the option to choose and put a green carpet or a blue carpet. It's a rule. Who made those rules? I'm not going to go into it, but protocol is an area where improvisation is absolutely not allowed. Etiquette is also a kind of set of rules of behavior, but if you breach them, you're not going to cause an incident. Let me give you an example. For instance, in my country, North Macedonia, this is where I live, although I'm also Croatian, you give odd number of flowers for something that is nice. Even number of flowers you only bring for funerals and sad occasions. It's not like that in the States and in many other countries. That's etiquette. It's not written anywhere, but we still have to. It's nice that we respect that. Or if you go into a Muslim house, you are kind of required to take your shoes off. In my house, you don't have to do it. You can, but it's not like you're going to insult me. So etiquette are a set of courtesies that are in non-official circles. If you breach them, you will just feel awkward. Maybe you will offend somebody. It's not like protocol where you can really cause a very, very serious incident. In etiquette, we have 3 rules. So if you have a difference in the rank, whoever is of higher rank has the advantage. If the rank is the same, it's always the ladies. And if you have difference in age, it's always the elder person. If you violate them, no big deal. In protocol, it's always rank. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, if you're older, it's always the rank that goes first. And this is important for us as interpreters, that we should always let the people of a higher rank to go first. Is it combined? Sometimes, of course. If you have a high state official coming to Serbia, protocol says red carpet, national anthem, the colors, the flags, the orchestra, the army, blah, 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 is the same everywhere. But maybe you would like to have 2 children that bring bread and salt, or they put a flower garland on your neck. It depends on your customs. So yes, you could, I don't know if there's a pointer here, no, but you can see Trump has this necklace of flowers. It's just combination of etiquette. Or here you see 2 gentlemen holding hands, because that's the etiquette in Saudi Arabia, where 2 men can hold hands without meaning anything. In our part of the world, 2 men holding hands has a different message, right? Or kissing, you know, somewhere it's 2 times, somewhere it's 3 times. So I'm going to jump a little bit just to stick to the things that I think you may need. It's very important in our job to know the honorifics. Why? Because it can help us, especially in consecutive interpreting, to memorize how to address people. We should know who is called Excellency, when we use Excellency, when we use Mr. or Madam Ambassador, or when we use Ambassador Smith. Excellency is used only for ambassadors who are currently performing the job of an ambassador or head of mission. If they were ambassadors in the past, but are no longer ambassadors, they keep the same title for the rest of their lives, and we call them Ambassador Smith. Ambassador, how are you today? But not Excellency, how are you today? This can be really useful when you work with VIPs. Right Honorable, Mr., Mrs., Miss, MX. You probably know, all of us who have been accredited in the European Union, these civil honorifics, Mr., Mrs., and Miss, have been. And now when we receive emails from Brussels, it's just Dear Lucrezia Malkovic. There's nothing in front of my name. Because, why? Because there was a dispute about the use of Miss and Mrs. With gentlemen, the honorific doesn't reflect their marital status. For us, women, it used to be Mrs. if you were married and Miss if you were not. Then there was a rule that every woman older than 18 should be Mrs., regardless of her marital status. Then there was another dispute. What happens with divorced women? What happens with women who are not legally married? And in the end, it was decided that no Mr., no Miss, nothing. which can be a problem if you receive an email. Sometimes you cannot judge or cannot see the person's gender on the basis of the name. If you are ever in doubt, please remember this website, formsofAddress.info. It is the website of the Protocol School of Washington that has certified me. There you will find every single title and position you can think of, how to send an invitation, how to write a letter, how to use the title in the speech, how to choose if somebody is Army General but also is Professor, which title to use. But it's for English language. So for our languages, probably we'll have to think of translation. But it's a very useful site. Another thing I would like also to explain, which probably you have heard about, precedence and hierarchy. In protocol, you have precedence. What is the difference? I'm not going to explain, maybe the picture will show you better. When you have people that have different ranks but are in one general area, so to speak, like in the army, right? You have major, you have lieutenant, you have sergeant, blah, blah, blah. So they are in the same area, but they have different ranks. That's hierarchy. Precedence is when we have people of the same rank, for instance, 5 ambassadors or 5 ministers. They are of the same rank, but you still have to rank them somehow. Who will speak first, who will be sitting on the right side, etc. So we have a basket of apples. They're all the same. There you have precedence. There's no hierarchy, they're all the same. Or you have a basket of mixed fruit, apples, peaches, bananas, or you invite or you have a conference where you have 1 ambassador, 1 minister, 1 rector of university, 1 head of financial mission, and the mayor. All 5 of them are completely different. You cannot make a hierarchy out of these positions. That's why you also have precedence that is done by certain rules. What are the rules? You probably know. Ambassadors are ranked according to the date they presented credentials. It has nothing to do with their state or how influential they are. National officials are done according to the domestic legislation. In my country, the president of the state is first, the president of the parliament is second, and the prime minister is third, and then it goes on and on. But it's different. In every country, it's different. And states are alphabetical. Albania will always be before Croatia, and Croatia will always be before North Macedonia. And in most of the events where we work, United States and United Kingdom are the last, because I don't think we will ever have the delegation of Zimbabwe. Why is this important? Because when you have to memorize a speech, it's easier to know that you will have people ranked by precedence. That is not our job as interpreter. It is the job of the person who will be delivering the speech. But you will know that he or she will greet the VIPs according to the precedence. Of course, with the honorific that I just mentioned. So what does interpreting for VIPs mean? We all know that we are the most important people. I told you in the beginning. They don't recognize that, but interpreters are very important. But we should never steal the spotlight. That means stay away of cameras. Try as much as possible not to be in the shot. Don't make selfies. Don't block the eye contact between the VIPs. Do not post on Facebook where we were, how important we were, etc. I mean, there's nothing wrong with posting this, but not the VIP. We do not extend our hand for handshake unless somebody approaches us and wants to thank for our job well done. We are just service people, the interpreters, and also protocol officers. So let the VIPs greet and shake hands. We should stay away. Okay, well, I think I mentioned all of this. Of course, we all know we should be punctual and in time. As a diplomatic officer, as a protocol officer, for me, the most important thing was to have the interpreter in the right vehicle. So before we accept a job for VIPs, we should always know which car we should be in, which is usually the first or the second, before the VIP car. So in the motorcade, protocol interpreters are either in the first or in the second car, which means we have to run always and be on the spot before the VIP arrives, which also means be careful with the shoes. So high heels can be, tricky. Okay, dress codes. We, by a rule, as interpreters, also as protocol people, because I said I'm going to speak in both of my roles, we should respect the dress code. Why? Because the first impression that we leave takes 3 seconds. So the other person, when they look at us, they need 3 seconds to make a first impression. The first impression is made 55% by the way we look. So we always make an impression with our packaging. The clothes, the body posture, the hair, the jewelry, etc. 38% is our voice, and only 7% is the things we say. So, when we work for the VIPs, we must tone down the 55%. Dark clothes, less jewelry, so that people can listen to the 38% and hear the 7%. Just remember the Philharmonic orchestras. They're all wearing black. Why? Because they want you to listen to the music. So we are them. Abide by the dress code of the event. If the dress code of the event is long dresses, interpreters should also wear long dresses. Yeah, true. Or if it's a tuxedo as well. Dark, comfortable clothes, discreet accessories, so nothing of this sort. Pantyhose is a must in every occasion. I'm sorry, it's protocol. Long sleeve shirt for gentlemen, discreet perfume, breath freshener, okay? And be careful with the nails. So I know maybe you would react to this, and I'm not saying I agree with all of this. I'm just saying what the rules are. Yes, there are 3 rules for ladies in protocol. It's never bare heel, okay, never sandals, never armpits, and always a pantyhose. But I don't think we will ever have the chance to wear white tie, but if we are doing interpreting at a ball, this is what we should look like. Long gowns for the ladies and tailcoat for the men, but I've never had that chance, even though I worked as protocol officer for 30 years. Black tie, yeah, it can happen. where the gentlemen wear tuxedos and ladies can wear some nice dress. It doesn't have to be long. This is more important, and which I would like you to remember. When you hear formal, for the gentleman, it means a suit. A suit is when the jacket and the trousers are made of the same material. If they're not made of the same material, then we have the second level, jacket and pants or trousers, and they can be different. But then the level goes to informal. For us ladies, as long as we have a jacket, we are formal. When we take it off, we become informal. Casual doesn't mean jeans and sneakers, it just means no necktie for the gentleman, and we can have, today I'm kind of casual, something between casual and informal. I'm definitely not formal because I don't have a jacket. I'm trying to look through the audience, maybe Anna, maybe Tina, whoever has jacket, you go into the formal or business dress code. Avoid jeans unless it is specifically allowed. When you work for the President of State or Prime Minister, please avoid jeans. See-through, stilettos, deep necklines, and so on and so forth. If you like the presentation, I will leave it with God's, and you can have it. So be careful. Sometimes cameras show something that you didn't think we would show. Okay, so when do we need to know protocol? When we interpret on tete-a-tete meetings, official talks, press statements, meals, toasts, and possibly interviews. So briefly, okay, this is not really important. All of us have 4 zones, and I would like to stress this because we from the Balkans have a little bit different understanding of these than people that come from Scandinavia, for instance. All of us have 4 different zones, and this can be useful even for ordinary, normal life. Audience zone is for people that we meet only once in our lives and never again. Usually it is the zone of the simultaneous interpreters. You just don't have any discussion with the people, you don't touch them, you don't converse, so you see them now or maybe never. The second zone is a bit problematic, the social zone, because you see how big it is. The one that is further away should be the zone for your boss or your superiors or your supervisors or your clients, where you have kind of communication, but you keep it a distance. In the English language, you is the same pronoun, but in our languages we have ti, vi, tu, vu, lei, and so on and so forth. So we make the difference between courtesy you and personal you. The colleagues that we work with are closer to us. We can touch them, we can say you have something on your eye, you have dandruff on your jacket, so we can touch them. With bosses, you cannot do that. I mean, I don't know how close you are with your boss, but still try to keep them away. Friend zone is for friends. And intimate zone is for your partner, intimate partner. Why I said this is problematic? Because in the Balkans, we sometimes mix the social zone with the friend zone. And that can be tricky. So try to keep your clients as interpreters in the social zone. Keep your distance. When you do chuchotage, probably the physical distance will be closer, but again, it's not going to be a friend zone and an intimate zone. So, Keep feet on the ground. I don't know if you would allow me, I would just like to show you the seating, if it's possible, since you're not interpreting. So ladies, there are a couple of ways of seating, not just for interpreters, but also for everyday life. You can keep your feet on the ground, which is the safest way, and when you're an interpreter, that's how you take notes. If you decide to cross your leg, it's easier because the notepad is closer to you, but this is in protocol considered to be a little bit of, I wouldn't say sexual posture, but not really appropriate. If you want to cross your leg, ladies, then turn a little bit like this so that you show the inner thigh, not the outer thigh. And then this leg should go in this position, not like this, like this. You can also have this position, which is called royal seating. If you're at a conference and you're sitting and they take a picture, you just cross your legs like this. You will see, I mean, we used to see that with Queen Elizabeth and some royal people. So it's called royal seating. And there is also another one that I cannot do, and I'm trying to see if some of you use it. It goes like, I cannot do it. And imagine that is acceptable in protocol. When you twist your legs in this, yeah, that's the one. That's the one. For the gentlemen, keep your feet on the ground. If you decide to cross your leg, please don't take picture of this now. This is called Texas seating. It's acceptable, only be careful if you are sitting with a Muslim in the vicinity, you know, showing the shoe sole to a Muslim is the biggest offense, so avoid that. You can cross your legs, but this is acceptable. Just be careful who you show it to, and that's why maybe your socks should go all the way up to here. So that's the seating. Try, if you're interpreter, try to keep both of your feet on the ground. So that is what I wanted to explain. I think I'm taking tete-a-tete meeting. If you are one, you will be sitting in the middle. And then you will appear in all of the pictures, but it's not your fault. If there are two interpreters, the second photograph is not good protocol-wise. This is a better one. When the interpreters are on the outer side, because then the photographer can only take pictures of the two VIPs and we are not in the photo. But this is not something that you as interpreters decide. That is something that the protocol will decide. You will only react if that affects the quality of your services. If you cannot hear or just the setting of the room is not good for you, you can react and say, I'm afraid I will not do my best. But then the protocol can say, well, that it is what it is, and you have to work with what the situation is. But this is the best position when we are out. When we have official talks, we can also be one or two interpreters. If it's just us, it means we will be interpreting for all of the whole delegation. Please try to sit like the lady on the end of the table, because that is the only way you can have a good visual contact. If it's two interpreters, meaning each delegation has their own, our position will be the first on the left. Some protocol tips. Remain standing until the highest VIP enters the room. Do not shake hands. Always be one step behind. Take the seating position that was given to you. No slouching. Never rest your head on your arms. Never, ever go hungry. You may not have the chance to eat. Never go hungry, especially because the growling of your stomach will be in the microphones. Be sure your breath is fresh, especially if you had cevapcici for lunch. If thanked, respond gracefully. Press conferences. Probably all of you, me including, we hate that. Because there are cameras, and even if we make a mistake, the whole country will know. And it adds to the stress. But wear discreet clothes and accessories. Please pre-agree with the speaker the chunks that they are going to speak so that you can interpret. Because according to some silly rules, we are not allowed to interrupt them. You can do hoping they will hear you. Then you can again. And then all you can do is, sir or madam, can I please interpret? But it's considered to be very inappropriate protocol-wise. So agree in advance. Mount the stage before the VIP. So if we are doing interpreting on microphone and on a press statement, we should be on that stage before the VIP comes in. If you are right-handed, let the mic be on your left side so you can take notes. Because if you do this, you can, I'm sorry, but I see you're not working, you can hit the microphone. If you're left-handed, it's the opposite side. Luncheons and dinners, I'm going to skip that. I mean, again, we will not be eating. Do not hope that you will be eating, because we can be sat at the table and the food will be brought to us. When do they expect us to eat? You can't. You're talking, you're interpreting. It's impolite to speak with your mouth full. So just they will bring food, they will take it away without you even touching it. Or you can be sat slightly behind the VIP. Again, no eating. Or oh, that would be nice. Thank you so much. I will have a bite. Yes, thank you. That's very considerate of you. But sometimes they don't. And it's even worse. It's not official talks where one speaks and the other listens. It's a table where everybody speaks, tells jokes that are maybe even inappropriate. So it's a completely different register of language. Okay, so probably you will not be served food. If yes, you will probably not eat. If yes, try to eat in very small bites so that you can swallow and continue working. Mind your table manners. That means we should not start eating before the number one starts eating. And it's just etiquette. We know that at home. Until the grandmother, the grandfather, the father receives the food, children should wait. So this I'm going to skip. Just please memorize BMW, which is not going to be hard for the gentleman. BMW is not a car. It's the table setting, which means bread and solid food is always on the left, meat is in the middle, glasses, water, wine are always on the right. I'm saying this because sometimes you will be sat in a very small, confined space and you know that your drink is here. not here. So BMW, it's just abbreviation it's an acronym of the setting of the table. Okay, have a bite before you go, wait for the host to start eating. Avoid sparkling drinks, because belching and burping can happen easily. Avoid alcohol, even if they tell you, come on, have a sip, have a drink. Okay, so this is not. And I think this is the last one, toasting. Toasting is part of every official luncheon or dinner. And it should be in the official program when the host gives a toast. You should know in advance that there will be toasting. In 99% of the cases, toasting, giving a toast, is not interpreted, but it is translated. So the toast should be translated in the other language in writing. But sometimes it happens that they count on you. If you are planned to translate the toast, make sure you are there. Meaning, if the president stands up and gives a toast, we should not be in the bathroom. So that is a coordination with the protocol officer. When is the toast going to be? Now. So you are there and you are prepared. If the toast giver is standing, we as interpreters should also be standing. And please remember this. One never drinks a toast for oneself. Meaning, if a toast is given for you, you just thank, but you do not drink. You do not drink for yourself. You know, yeah, I'm such a good person. Yeah. No. Also, as interpreter, you do not raise your glass and you don't drink. Let the delegations do that. Whispering, we all know it's always a good idea to ask, sir, madam, which side would you prefer? We are not going to ask, are you deaf on this side and that? So which side would you prefer? This is the best, as I said, being seated on the outer side. But sometimes the client would prefer the other side because of the hearing. Okay, when doing chuchotage, we know that. Sit discreetly. Now remember the zones. In chuchotage, the distance becomes closer. But try not to touch the client's ear with your lips. It may arouse them, but then it may arouse you as well, so keep your distance. Adjust the volume of your voice, breath, also perfumes, we should be. And do not do chuchotage if you are ill. So that was just a short. Thank you very much. If you have questions, this is a course that I teach for 3 weeks, so in 20 minutes it was impossible. Thank you. Oh, there are questions.
Hvala veliko, Lukrecija, svašta smo naučili i ovo potvrđuje ono što smo i do sada govorili, koliko raznih soft skills i drugih znanja moramo da posjedujemo osim čistog prevođenja. Tako da je bilo zaista vrlo zanimljivo i poučno. Sada bismo čuli još poslednjeg govornika za danas, a onda možete da postavljate pitanja i Lukreciji i Ivani Zametici, koja će držati prezentaciju nalaza ankete u vezi sa jezičkom industrijom u Bosni i Hercegovini za 2025. godinu, nešto što mi se čini vrlo zanimljivim. Ona je inače iz Udruženja prevodilaca i tumača Bosne i Hercegovine i freelancerski konferencijski prevodilac i književni prevodilac iz Sarajeva. Završila je studije engleskog i nemačkog jezika na Univerzitetu u Sarajevu gde je 10 godina predavala nemačku književnost i istoriju kulture. Trenutno je predsjednica Udruženja usmenih i pismenih prevodilaca Bosne i Hercegovine. Ivana, izvoli.
Thank you. I will speak in English because of the live. Just let me check. Okay. I will start by saying something about the translation and interpreting industry in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and just some information about our association. Our association was founded in 2008. Officially, it was registered in 2009. What's specific is that we gather interpreters, translators, proofreaders, so basically all types of language professionals, which sometimes makes our work easier, but more often it makes it more complicated. When it comes to the number of our members, we just updated our members list in the sense that we removed some inactive members, which we hadn't done for years. And now we have about 60 members, but we have quite a large number of interested translators and interpreters, especially younger ones, which makes me very hopeful, who are interested in joining our association. When it comes to the possibilities to get an education as a translator and interpreter, we do not have a master's program in conference interpreting, as some of the other countries in the regions do have, but we do have a translation and interpreting master's at the English department at the University of Sarajevo, which is quite good, and it does cover conference interpreting as well as translating. I would say the biggest problem there is that currently it is not possible to study English and German, English and French. So you can, but you have to do 2 full-time master programs. So you can study German, a master's in German studies, for example, and this translation and interpreting master. But then you have double the workload and everything. So it's possible, but few choose this. I will not go into the reasons of why this is not possible, but I mean mainly because the number of students in the humanities has plummeted in the past years, and I think that's a global phenomenon. Just as an example, when I was teaching at the German department, we had every year 100 students only in the first year. Now they have, in all 5 years, maybe 30. And they're lucky when they have that many, so sometimes they almost have no interested candidates. This master program, translating and interpreting, it's a program which has constant interest, so they have 10 to 15 students every year. So also some of the colleagues who have finished their studies in the pre-Bologna time, so such as myself, they choose to do this masters, who have been working as translators and or interpreters, and then they also do it. So what else? Yes, and this has existed since 2012, and I've just asked them if there are any new developments. They are planning to, because the students study both, as I said, translation and interpreting, but sometimes they are not interested in, doing translation or conference interpreting, so they are planning to enable them to choose like electives. So conference interpreting is supposed to become an elective for those who want. So they will cover the basics, and then they can choose electives based on their preferences. Okay, but when it comes to the state of our profession, we wanted to get some data to be, because sometimes we can't be sure if what we believe to be the state of things is like only our experience, if it is subjective, you know. So we decided that we will do a survey of the whole language industry, but first we plan to make like a big survey, because most of the translators and interpreters do several things. So they are conference interpreters and translators, so there are many combinations, but then it would have been too long. This one was also very long. It had 106 questions. So we decided to split it. So now we did this one, and in the coming months, we hope until the end of the year, we will do the same for literary translators, court interpreters, and those who do only written translation. What I struggled with was how to accommodate those who do like some kind of consecutive, but you know, they are doing translation, and they do like, you know, interpreting, but it's like semi-professional. So I don't even know if we can call it consecutive, because it's really more, yes. So we had, and I want to say also one thing, we have used for this also, or read the survey done by the Croatian Association of Conference Interpreters, and we have used some of your questions, because I didn't have time to write and ask for permission, but of course I plan to quote you in any published reports about this. Okay, I think 38 respondents for such a small market such as Bosnia and Herzegovina is actually quite good. I'm not satisfied with the fact that we didn't reach as many of those who are doing interpreting like as a side gig. So I decided to leave it open for a couple more days just in case, and I'm texting them, but we'll see. Okay, this is the, when it comes to gender, of course, obviously, typically, as it's typical in our profession, more women responded. This is like the age category, so most are between 36 and 55. The respondents live primarily in Sarajevo, although I think there are more interpreters in other cities. I'm sure about Banja Luka, but they didn't respond. But I think it's not that only people from Sarajevo responded, but it's like where the most work is, and you move to Sarajevo to have work as an interpreter. When it comes to the education, all of the respondents finished university studies. We have also 3 PhDs, and most of them finished either a master's or the pre-Bologna degree program. And these are the universities where they studied. So the University of Sarajevo is where most of them studied, but then it's quite varied. So various places, including Belgrade, Novi Sad, and other universities in Bosnia also. Most of the respondents studied philology, so English studies, most of them English studies, but we also have 6 who finished the translation and interpreting masters. And I haven't had time, but it will be for me very interesting to compare like their answers of the ones who studied translation and interpreting with the ones who didn't, because I'm sure there will be differences there. And one of the goals of this survey is also to assess the training needs of the conference interpreters so that our association can offer like a tailored offer, or and this is just one with someone who wrote what they studied in a separate part. Okay, this is where they studied, where they finished, if they studied interpreting or translation studies, most of them in Sarajevo and one in Novi Sad. Most have Bosnian, Croatian, Serbian as their native language, to Russian, I think Russian and Macedonian. And I will not go now through everything, just these first, and then I will skip to the questions where we can see maybe about the standards of the profession. That would be most interesting. So these are the language profiles, here the languages. So mostly English. And here, and in many questions, we can see that some of our interpreters don't really understand some things like A, B, C languages, because all of them should have picked Bosnian, Croatian, Serbian, or almost all of them. If we had 38 and 2 said it's not their first language, so here we should have had 36. So we can conclude that they don't understand what an A language is. And we can conclude that from some of the questions. Then here we ask about languages, other languages they speak, but which are not their working languages. Okay, so we asked whether they are a member of our association, and this is what they responded. So that's also a promising response for us, because now we can do some outreach in that sense as well. And it's interesting, mostly interesting to read their explanations about their regarding some of their responses, and to look, also if they are a member of the association, because sometimes they will say things like, the association is not doing anything, but they're not a member, or something like that. So, or they write what they would expect us, like to pass laws prohibiting dumping and things where I'm not sure if it's even legally possible for us to. I mean, in the EU countries, I think it's not allowed even to suggest a rate, right? You can have a range of, but you can't say, okay, this is the rate everyone should. So yeah. But there is interest in being active in associations. Some are members in other associations, and we also asked to state in which associations they would like to, or of which associations they would like to become a member. Like AIC was also mentioned twice. Their expectations of associations. Okay, I will now skip a little bit to see about standards. Yes, this is a question about the accreditation test. 12 of the respondents have taken it, 5 have passed. This is the languages for which the respondents are accredited, and we heard that we have 12 accredited. This is their comment on the accreditation test, and based also on this, and on also maybe some informal commenting about it, we can conclude that many interpreters, they complain about the way the test is organized. It's like unrealistic, 7 minutes. So we can conclude that they do need to maybe get more training in interpreting techniques and things, because they are quite surprised at some of the things that are expected there. And some feel it's intransparent. That's also something that was stated here. This is whether the question about whether they do other forms of translating and interpreting next besides conference interpreting. So most of them do other forms of translation and interpreting as well. This is how long. Okay, maybe I should have deleted some of the slides. They mostly. So they do other forms of translating and interpreting. Some work in it's not their main job. They work in schools, at universities, things like that. And a small number offers other services, right? Okay, so I will skip this. And I will go to the education segment, because I feel this is very interesting with regard to standards. And you can read the results. I will send you the link, because I am the last one, so I have to try not to talk longer than what was allocated to me. Oh, this is, wait, how do I go back? This is, okay. So we asked whether they work, when they interpret when they do simultaneous, whether they work alone or with a second interpreter, and this is how they responded. So even 3 said that they do simultaneous for the whole day alone. 2 longer than 2 hours, 19 here said only with a second interpreter. So okay, I know this, but yeah, 3. Okay, let's see about consecutive. There the number gets higher, 9. Do consecutive alone for the whole day. Over 3 hours, 8, so it changes. And I think chuchotage is almost the same as simultaneous, yes. So, and here they also had the respondents the biggest need to justify why. Mostly they say it's because the client asks, everyone is doing it. And this is also when we asked about prices, like, did you raise your prices in the last 3 years? No, because no one has, and things like that. And why do you offer lower prices? Well, because everyone does it. And I think that's why this will be very useful to also to show the range of what people charge. And maybe someone really thinks that the others didn't raise their prices, although I don't really believe that. But yeah, at least we have now, for the first time, some official data here. And it's interesting that when then we asked for them to assess how important some of the working conditions for them are, most of them said it's important for me, like to work with a second interpreter. But then on the other questions, they responded that they work alone. So it's here, okay. And also many responses in the sense like, where they try to justify it by, like, or do you prepare? For example, we had that question. Do you prepare for every assignment? And many said, only when I get the materials, because if they don't care, I don't care. Something like that, right? And are you interested in improving your interpreting technique? Some said, because my working conditions are not ideal, I don't feel that it would make sense, so I don't see the speaker, I don't have the presentation, so why should I invest in so we have a lot of this. Maybe I will try to, to round it up in this way and to tell you what I think is most interesting about these results in the context of standards and improving those, etc. That's something that we know is happening and that this study confirms. And also with regard to the standards, what I have noticed is although we had those standards on our website, we are preparing new ones, so we will have it back there again. Sometimes when you talk to people, they will just say, well, I don't think that this should be done like this. And this is something I'm really struggling to try to find a response for, like you tell someone, well, you shouldn't be working alone when you do simultaneous. And they say, well, I don't agree. And that's something in the Balkans that has become normal, and I really don't know how to respond to that. So, if they don't want to get trained, what can we do there? I mean, I would be interested to hear what you think about it. But that's the reason why I think that the fact that you invited us and that this initiative exists, forming the region, that this is maybe a way where we can respond to that. And for us, I think it would be very useful to say, okay, this is not something our association is proposing as a standard. We can put like links to your websites also on our website and then say these are, or maybe we can issue some joint recommendations. And I think that it would be also good for us to share resources. So if we, our plan is to prepare not only a CPD program based on this study, but also maybe materials, for social media, images with, some snippets of information and knowledge, and to try to get it to the interpreters primarily, and then, but also to the clients, and we can share it. I mean, so that if we develop that, we can share it with you. You can put your logo on it and use it. So that's something which I think would be good, and it will. If we cooperate more, I think it will help us to get, this information out and maybe also make people stick to it more, respect those standards, because then they will not be able to always, pretend as if they didn't know. So, yes. because my time is up, I will stop here. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them, and I will share the link to the report regarding the results, which we will publish in the so-called local language and in English soon on our website. So thank you.
Hvala Ivana, baš sam impresionirana koliko obimno istraživanje ste napravili kod vas, svaka čast. Mislim da je dobro da se zna odakle se kreće i verujem da je zbog specifičnih okolnosti u zemlji da donekle zaostajete za uspostavljanjem tih standarda, ali to znači samo da ćete ih polako razvijati pa ćete doći dokle treba. Ako se ide u pravom smeru, mora da se ostvari sve. Ja sad predlažem da postavljate pitanja za oba sadašnja dakle, posle pauzna govornika, a također bismo možda i samo par reči rekli i pre toga, evo reći ću odmah, pošto salu imamo do 2, to je još pola sata, ali samo ću sad reći praktično to da što se tiče jednog od ciljeva ove konferencije, a to je da se osmisli, da se po mogućstvu pokrene stvaranje regiona, AIK regiona. Ovdje imamo predstavnike nego naših zemalja iz regiona, ali u suštini nemamo još uvek tačna saznanja koliko koja od tih zemalja, zapravo članovi AIK-a u tim zemljama, imaju želju da se udruže u taj region. I mislim da ćemo, otprilike nešto naslućujemo, tako da je vrlo korisno što smo i razgovarali o tome, ali mislim da je onda najbolje da direktno zaista uputimo pismo, poziv svima njima i da vidimo koliko su zainteresovani, pa i ako nisu, da se radi na tome da se više zainteresuju, a svako za sebe naravno da radi na tome da poveća broj članova. Ja sam malo iznenađena kad sam čula koliko je to dugačka procedura u smislu dok vi sačekate, ne znam da li sam u pravu, ali dok vi sačekate da dođe do te skupštine, skupštine AIK-a gde bi se tako nešto moglo budžetirati, usvojiti kao odluka o regionu i tako dalje, mislim da treba i za to, pa Boga mi možda i 12 meseci, pravo da vam kažem. Tako da zaista moramo da krenemo da radimo što pre kako bismo možda 27. uspeli da postanemo neki region. Ali zaista ako sve ove prethodne korake obavimo na vreme. Ne znam ti šta misliš, Haris, da li je potrebno zaista toliko vremena i kako to, da li si upućen, kako to ide?
Thank you. I have not seen the process working because I don't know how long it is that we have not had a new region. But as part of this region, among family, I would like to say that it is really important that the first step is done today, even in symbolical terms. And the result will be such, believe me, that after we achieve this objective, everyone will be wondering, how come we have not done it before? The result will be unimaginable in practical terms, in terms of reputation, in terms of representation, in terms of contact with the clients, in terms of activities, education, engagement, and so on and so forth. So I cannot speak on behalf of the delegation, so to speak, but even getting together, taking a picture, the countries involved, and perhaps agreeing to send a joint email to the members in the region, and then after we collect at least 25 signatures, the next step is to write to Claude-Alain Batia, the secretary, the executive secretary of AIC, and he will take it from there. He's someone very practical, very energetic, he's quick, he is a no-nonsense guy, and he will guide you through the process. But we should not miss this opportunity. you know what they say about the Palestinians and the Israelis, they have not missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. So let's not miss this opportunity to take the first step forward, and then the practical aspects are really a piece of cake.
Okay,
Thank you. And good luck, really.
Thank you. I sad pitanja imamo i odgovore.
Hvala lijepa. Evo prije svega da kažem čestitam mojoj kolegici Ivani na odličnom istraživanju. Svaka čast. A za kolegicu Lukreciju pitanje na našem ili na engleskom? Ok, evo, prvo prije svega fantastična prezentacija. Znači, prezentacije vezane za diplomatski protokol su tako rijetke da je ovo nešto što je mene oduševilo stvarno. Situacija iz prakse. Prevodim sastanak dva premijera. Protokol me stavi skroz pozadi, jedno 3 metra iza da sjedim. I ja sam sad u panici. Kako ću čut šta govore ljudi i tako dalje. Na sreću, njih dvojica počinju komunicirati na engleskom jeziku. Ali evo, kolegice, iz tvojeg iskustva, kako bi ti premostila to? To je prvo pitanje. Evo sam da postavim odmah i drugo. Prevodim bugarskog premijera koji govori 20 minuta bez prestanka kroz svog prevodioca, jer on govori na bugarskom. I njegova prevoditeljica meni cijelo vrijeme suflira da ja njega trebam prekinuti. Znači, ja niti stojim do njega, niti sam njegov prevodilac, očito. Pa evo, konkretna situacija, kako bi ti reagovala tu?
Evo ovako sad, znači moja prednost to što sam ja i bila službenica za protokol i što sam prevoditeljica. Tako da kad god sam organizirala posjet, onda sam znala da je meni najvažniji prevoditelj i onda sam znala gdje ga ili gdje ju trebam postaviti. Pitanje je sada što ne znaju baš svi protokol službenici koja je uloga prevoditelja. Pa vas stave tamo negdje iza ili čak nekad niste ni u istoj dvorani pa vas stave negdje vani i tako dalje. Znači, sad kao prevoditeljica ja ću vam reći, nemojte nikada prihvatiti uvjet koji će vas spriječiti da date maksimum svoje usluge. Jednostavno kažite, meni je nemoguće čuti sa ove daljine. Jer vam zvuk ne ide ovako, zvuk vam ide ovako, prema naprijed. Ne ide prema natrag, tako da ako ste vi pozadi, jednostavno ne čuje se. I onda morate reagirati. Čak i ako protokol kaže, ali nema gdje. Ne, oprostite, ja ne mogu dati maksimum svoje usluge, onda će fulaću cijeli susret, razumijete me. Ako jednostavno ne prihvate, onda morate dati maksimum. Zato je potrebno uvijek imati tu koordinaciju prije posjeta sa protokolom. Znate, mi prevoditelji sjedimo za stolom, mi prevoditelji sjedimo u istoj dvorani, mi prevoditelji ne možemo sjediti tamo, znači koliko god možete. Druga stvar, drugo pitanje. Pitali ste me za Bugari. Ja sam vam rekla, znači prema protokolu i prema nekim standardima nije dobro prekinuti govornika, ali 20 minuta to ne bi ni Superman mogao prevesti. Da, ne, vi ste preveli, da, svaka čast. Mislim, ja sam radila za Gligorova, znam kako to izgleda. Kad jednostavno čovjek ide, oni nisu ni svjesni da ih trebate prevoditi. Probajte malo diskretno. Diskretno, još jednom. Sad ako on nastavi, vi budite gospodini, recite, ja ću sad to probati rezimirati. I u biti konsekutiva je to, rezime, sažetak svega. Ne možete sve, ako ste vrhunski spremni da vodite bilješke, ok. Ako ne, samo oprostite, ja ću rezimirati, sažetak, glavna poanta toga i toga je... Kao što sam vam rekla, znate, kad pogriješite, onda ste uvijek vi krivi. Kad uradite dobar posao, nitko vas ne hvali. To je naša sudbina i kao prevoditelj i kao protokol službenik. Tako da, znači, da ja sad rezimiram. Probajte malo se nakašljat, ako ne prolazi, onda na kraju kažete ja ću to rezimirati. Mislim...
Da je on bio za govornicom, pa njegova prevoditeljica do njega, da ja pored nje kašljanje ne bi pomoglo tu.
Znate što se meni dogodilo? Na primjer, evo sad da ne oduzimam previše. Ja srpski ja razumijem, mogu čak i progovoriti, ali ne radim, nije mi u kombinaciji. I sad je naša vlada imala problem, jer kod nas nema baš puno tih BCS prevoditelja, za hrvatski sam samo ja. Imali su neki susret sa Dačićem. I onda su mi rekli, Lukrecija, molim te, moraš ti. Ali ja mislim, ja mogu sa srpskog na makedonski, ali sad kad počnem suprotno, onda meni izađe 1000, ja mogu napraviti međudržavni incident. Ne, kaže, samo ti Dačića sa makedonskog, a oni imaju svoju prevoditeljicu. To je bila neka gospođa koja je bila udata za Srbina, nikad nije radila prijevod. I onda je naš ministar Makedonac počeo pričati i ona je počela plakati. Kaže, ja ovo ne mogu. I mene su gurnuli, spašavaj. I sad, kako ćete vi sa hrvatskog na srpski? Mislim, ja ne želim nikoga uvrijediti, ali jednostavno ne. I ja sam samo morala rezimirati to malo za... Tako da se morate spašavati situaciju i zato sam vam rekla, uvijek na početku koordinirajte se protokolom, kada da prevodite, koji će biti dijelovi gdje se možete ubaciti, hoćete li ručati ili nećete, bit će li konferencije za tisak, pres ili ne, znači što je moguće, a iznenađenja su uvijek u sridu, kako je neko rekao.
Muhamede, niste pitali koleginicu, dakle njoj ideja da vi prekinete govornika, a ne ona koja stoji pred njega? Ili imala neku hidden agenda ili je samo uhvatila panika i to je to?
Mislim da je kod nje bio strah od šefa u pitanju kojeg ne smije da prekine, jer ona je bila njegova lična prevoditeljica, pa to je bilo to. Pa je vjerovatno mislila da ja trebam da se nametnem. I na kraju smo imali chat vezano za to, gdje sam joj objasnio, izvini, ali nije to moj posao da ja tvog govornika prekidam. Tako.
Ja prvo da se zahvalim objema koleginicama na super prezentacijama. Htjela sam samo nešto vezano za ove stvari protokola. Ja sam dugo radim sa VIP-evima i mislim da bi mi strašno ovakva neka prezentacija pomogla na početku. Davno, prije 15-20 godina kad mi nismo ništa znali o tome i kad su nas samo ubacivali u vatru. I to je nešto što treba nekako objaviti u nekom smislu smjernica ili tako nečega. Kod nas u Crnoj Gori protokol uglavnom zaboravi na prevodioce. To je obavezno, jer oni jadni isto imaju toliko posla i toliko tih aktivnosti i uče se i oni mladi ih ima i tako i onda zaborave, onda kad se u panici sjete, onda obično, znate prva reakcija kad vas zaborave to što su oni trebali da urade, pa ste im vi krivi. Ne znaju gdje ću sad tebe. Otprilike je to reakcija, ali dobro i oni se uče i mislim da je to sad prilično dobro funkcioniše. Htjela sam reći da kad se radi sa VIP-evima, dobro, ja sam imala rad sa različitim VIP-evima po Crnoj Gori i tako, ali jedno 10 godina radim sa bivšim premijerom, predsjednikom, ne znam kako bi ga nazvala, Đukanovićem. I, pa mislim, To je Milo Nacionale, jel? Da ne znam. Mislim da treba, kad smo prevodioci, da shvatimo da oni imaju tu svoju ljudsku stranu i sasvim normalno. Ja sam s njim razvila odnos da smo nas dvoje tim. Protokol je neko ko nama komanduje gdje ćemo nas dvoje i apsolutno je s njim, on je ovako vjerovatno prikazan u medijima na razne načine, ali on je jedan gospodin sa kojim je jako lijepo sarađivati. Što se tiče alkohola za večerom, moj savjet je da nek vam sipaju, pa se pravite. Ali ja ne uzimam alkohol, ali mi je ideja došla od toga što svaki put kad sam rekla ne, onda se pokrene priča, jer znate, oni su svi nervozni. Svi su oni isto pod tremom, svi ti VIP-evi, to su ljudska bića. I sad ne zna šta ovome da kaže preko stola, imaju neki međudržavni nategnuti. I onda se posvete tako nekoj gluposti, tipa zašto sad prevodilac nije uzeo to vino, pa ajte i vi malo. Onda se priča pretvori, fokus je na meni, ja to ne želim i onda ja dozvolim da sipaju, pa on kad oni dižu čašu, dignem ja ako treba, nema problema. Znači izbjegavam tako fokus bilo kakav na mene. Pres konferencije je ovo što se desilo kolegi, to se x puta dešava. Moj savjet je da budete jako spremni sa sveskom i to je kad ste dobro spremni i apsolutno je najbolji marketing na planeti za vas. Ako ste dobro spremni. Naravno. Kažem samo, ako ste dobro spremni, ako vas snime kamere, penjete se odmah na ljestvici. Mene tako su uvalili više puta, ali mi je jedna koleginica rekla iz protokola, baš iz italijanskog, kad me srela, mi tebe ne volimo. Ja kažem, zašto? Pa zato što možeš onoliko da prevedeš. Jer vam je to, odmah se izdvojite, ako ste dobri, ako ste spremni. Tako da tu budite spremni za preskonferenciju, pa šta bude. Ali mislim da u principu smo mi svi na tom nivou kvaliteta da možemo to da odradimo. I nešto me još zanima iz protokola. Što se tiče ovog personal space-a, ja imam potrebu za svojim ličnim prostorom i šišotaž me iritira izuzetno. I ja sam negdje smislila, ima dosta godina i na svu sreću, jer pošto je čovjek fini za saradnju, uspjela da sprovedem, da kupe tour guide sistem. I ja kad je šišotaž potreban tipa za obrokom nekim, kad on jede, da ja ne bih za njim ovako u njegovu supu, ja koristim tour guide. Ima li stav protokola bilo kakvog o tome?
Može tour guide, apsolutno. Ali nemate uvijek mogućnost da. Kad ima, da. Da, jer je bolje i za klijenta. Bolje i za klijenta. Ako imate tour guide, da. Ne može se uvijek kabinati, jer to su male večere, recimo. Da. I onda sam ja jedina, njih je 6, i ja jedina, i tu samo mali tour guide može da vam pomogne da držite distancu. Da vi nosite sa nama? Ja nosim. Pa to može. Ja nisam samo jednu stvar rekla tamo kod dress koda, možda sam trebala, a za muškarce možda i to je bespredmetno, ali za žene uvijek imajte odjeću koja ima džepove. To je jako važno i za protokol i za prevoditelje. Uvijek imajte nešto gdje možete staviti rezervnu kemijsku olovku ili maramice ili bilo šta, znači da imate džepove, jer može kemijska prestati, evo kao kod kolege, pa onda nemate čime zapisivati, tako. Znači ili hlače, hlače, suknje, džaket, nešto gdje. I uvijek imajte olovku koja je na ono klik, ne sa onim poklopcem, jer onda nemate. I ovo je gadno kad imate konsekutivu. Znači, ovaj mikrofon izbjegavajte uvijek, ali sad radimo s tim što možemo.
Izvinjam se što sad dominiram, ali vezano za ovaj šišotaž i za ovaj tour guide. Tour guide ne možete da koristite naravno na većini događaja, ali ja negdje sam se dogovorila s njim tako, znači to je moja inicijativa, ali poslije toga sam vidjela koleginice koje prevode za bosanske delegacije su nakon recimo 2 susreta isto donijele tour guide. Znači mi smo ti koji pokrećemo tu vrstu promjene. Meni je to lagodno bilo jer ja nosim po svojim džepovima. Njegov aparatić, moj aparatić, to ima ono, receiver i njemu dodam kad mu treba i mi smo savršeno tako funkcionisali. Mi smo tako čak funkcionisali recimo na nekakvim konferencijama, tipa Minhenska konferencija bezbjedonosna Globsek, gdje ja ne dobijem kabinu, nema kabina za sve prevodioce. Ja sjedim u sali blizu njega i šapućem na ono. Kad je bila maska ona za COVID, ja u masku gurnem bubicu i ja pričam. I on me tamo čuje, pa to morate se snaći. Ali pitala sam samo da vidim da li je protokol pravi problem. Imala sam problem u UN-u kad smo radili, kad je bio Trumpov govor, isto sam sjedila iza njega i šaputala tako na to, ali kad je Trump ušao, sve je crklo. To ne radi onda. Ali prosto se tu se
Znate što, evo, postoji jedna... Samo na mikrofon zbog kolega. Postoji jedna služba koja je iznad protokola, a to je security. Čak i ja na primjer, kad dolaze ovi Mesić je bio, Tuđman je bio i ovi hrvatski dužnosnici kad dođu u Makedoniju, jedna od prvih stvari je šetnja čaršijom. I ja sad zamislim da je lijepo da oni to vide. Security kaže, nema šanse. Snajperi, ne znam što. Tako da, ovo je odlično što vi kažete, a ako vam security kaže da je nemoguće, onda... Tako da tu vam čak ni protokol ne... Nije to problem. Da. A ne znam ja kako to radi, možda su neki valovi, ne znam, da. A inače protokol wise apsolutno nema problema.
You know, they say that when you're about to die, you see your life passing in front of your eyes. So that's what happened to me with Lucrezia. 40 years of interpreting in 20 minutes. Thank you very, very much. We should repeat that, perhaps in Athens as well. And I don't want to detract from the regional developments, but two things very quickly. The length of socks for gentlemen. This has been a traumatic experience. I'm sure you have it in your manual. And also, I think we should not, I mean, this is a very, very delicate matter, but it has happened to me. Probably I was too young, too brave. I have saved a few dignitaries from what we call in Greek the lettuce on front teeth, while no one dared to say anything or even wave, ministers, ambassadors, and no one, but everyone could see that the president had a piece of lettuce on his teeth. Everyone had forgotten about the negotiations and were looking. So even a slight move, like this, is enough. It will save the day, and the dignitary and the diplomatic mission will be grateful for you forever. Thank you. But it's a very, very delicate exercise, of course.
Ja bih samo rekla da je naš protokol u stvari u državi odličan, izvanredan. Znači, zadržali su profesionalce, a ja sam, da kažem, počela da radim u vladi kao pripravnik, kao prvo radno mesto i vrlo brzo sam došla do prevodioca na najvišem nivou, što znači da sam ja sam brojala, čini mi se 11 predsjednika, premijera, još više predsjednika Skupštine prevodila, razne careve i kraljeve i predsjednike drugih zemalja i ministre i na kraju krajeva uvek treba da znamo naše mesto, ali to su sve ljudi. To su ljudi kao i mi. Nikad ne treba imati osjećaj da nešto ne smeš u okviru onoga gde ti je mesto. Znači i to u liftu, što da ne. Mada moram, opet se vraćam, naš protokol je izvanredan, jer su zadržali profesionalce koji su kroz sve te godine isti. Nisu ih menjali po političkoj pripadnosti. Ali hoću da kažem ovo što se tiče dužine govora i tako. Tu napravite karijeru. Potrudite se, skoncentrišite se. Uvek 2-3 bloka nosite. Ali ne znam kako, nije lako. Blok smete da nosite sa olovkom ili više olovaka, ja nosim 5, mislim. Ali, recimo, nama protokol ne da nosimo tašnice nikada. Znači, morate negde da ga držite ovako, telefon i ne nosim. Ali, hoću da kažem, tu kad vas usnime i kad jednom tako dugačko prevedete, ne znam ja koliko minuta, onda taj više nikad neće toliko govoriti. Uvek će da vas pita, jer sam ja to sve rekao. Zato što ne može ni da veruje koliko dugo je pričao. a onda ste napravili karijeru do kraja. I onda će svi sledeći da vas uzimaju. I protokol će vam biti vrlo zahvalan, ali samo treba uvek da budete, da znate gde vam je mesto, niste glavni, ali niste ni otirač ni ništa drugo. I za ove situacije što ste pokazivali, ja baš imam te situacije kako da čujem nekoga. Kažem, izvinite, ako ne mogu da čujem, ja ne mogu da prevodim. Nećete sebi da pucate u nogu zato što vas je neko namestio, mada je naš protokol odličan i on nas provede kroz sve sale pre svakog događaja i kaže, prvo ćete raditi ovde, pa ćete preći nekad za ručkom, a kada je ručak, večera ne, ali kada je ručak mi radimo iz kabina i gledamo ih, što je odlično, imaju slušalice, radite iz kabina, ništa bolje. Kada je ručak, naravno, na tim zvaničnim mestima, ako je negde, šta ja znam, u prirodi ili u restoranu, nemate sve to. Ali što se tiče ovih tete-a-tet, vrlo je nezgodno kad ste iza, ne čujete, ja imam odličan sluh, ali ne može se čuti. A nekad i ne izgovaraju baš najbolje taj neki jezik, recimo mi imamo razne zemlje gde ima dva zvanična jezika. I ako je to neki jezik afrički, francuski recimo, pitanje izgovora je takvo da vam nije baš lako da prevodite. Ali ja pitam protokol, pošto nas provede kroz sve sale i kaže prvo će biti razgovor za ovim stolama, vi ćete biti u kabinama. Pa ćete proći ovim putem, jer ne smeš da ideš kuda hoćeš naravno, do sledeće sobe ili sledećih kabina gde ćete raditi nastavak, pa ćete izaći i prevoditi samo onaj deo kada kažete neka, sada će izaći predsjednici i ove i one države i daće izjavu za medije, a posle će uslediti pitanje. Za to vreme je kolega već otrčao u kabinu, a ja stojim pored njih, odnosno bočno sa strane, i prethodno veče i tražim da mi pošalju i to malo što će se tu reći, a šta će biti iz kabine, to ne znamo, i onda se ja isto nekim zaobilaznim putem približim kolegi u kabini da nastavimo taj deo, ali kažem, prethodno nas je protokol svuda proveo, ne smeš da prođeš ni ispred, naravno, novinara, ni ispred ostatka delegacije i tako dalje, ali sam htjela da se vratim na ovaj tet-a-tet. Znači, tako kad nas provodi protokol, koji je, kažem, izvanredan, i kad imate jednog VIP-a ili jednu i drugog, i sad ako ste sami, na ovim slikama vidim pozadi da sedi neko u sredini, a uvek se ovde poređuju kamere za početak razgovora teta-teta. Ja pitam protokol, jel mogu ja, pošto za slikanje ne treba uopšte da prevodim, jel mogu ja kasnije da mi privuče neko od zaposlenih stolicu ispred njih? Jedan sedi ovamo, jedan sedi onamo, ja sedim ovako, čujem lepo jednog, čujem drugog, čuju oni mene, što je još važnije. Mislim da znaju šta mu je rekao kolega i onda znači slikanje se dešava tako, ja sam sa strane, čekam svoj red, izađu sve kamere, kamermani i tako dalje i onda mi neko privuče stolicu, ja sedem, gledam jedno, gledam drugo, mnogo zgodnije nego kad ste iza. I to je dogovor sa protokolom. Da, dobro, meni se učinilo na slici da je u sredini taj jedan, ali u sredini paralelno ili malo iza, ali ovako spreda je još bolje. A to iza, personal space ili ne, mora čovek da priđe da bi čuo. Mislim, ako je malo bočno iza. Šta će da radi? Da.
Samo da kažem, znači u ovoj situaciji protokol meni nije dao nikakve informacije i to bez obzira na mnogobrojne upite sa moje strane. Dakle, ja sam bukvalno kao s Marsa bio tu pao, još su me uslovljavali sa tim raznoraznim stvarima, tipa stolica se ne smije pomjerati, sjediš tu i to je to. Znači, vrlo nezahvalna situacija. Ali samo vezano za ovo što se govorila o različitim akcentima i to. Negdje na početku svoje karijere radeći za UN, ja sam prevodio jednom Indijcu i jednom Afrikancu koji obojica govore na engleskom, na engleski. Tako da, to je funny bilo.
Time smo završili segment pitanja i odgovora. Dakle, poštovane koleginice i kolege, približavamo se kraju ove dvodnevne konferencije koja je, verujem, pružila mnogo korisnih uvida, inspiracije i konkretnih ideja za dalji profesionalni razvoj i saradnju. Između ostalog, koleginica iz Grčke i potpredsednica AIK-a obećala je da će AIK održati online događaj o promovisanju te organizacije u našem regionu. Govornici su nas podstakli da se osvrnemo na razvojne prekretnice naše profesije, ali i da razmislimo o pravcima u kojima se ona danas kreće, uz sve izraženiju primjenu digitalnih rešenja i potrebu za poboljšanjem uslova rada. Posebno je naglašena važnost novih dogovora i inicijativa koje postavljaju temelje za rad u hibridnim i online okruženjima. Razmatrani su i modeli saradnje sa obrazovnim institucijama, značaj podrške novim generacijama prevodilaca, kao i izazovi u vezi sa malim brojem prevodilaca za pojedine jezike. Istovremeno, pažnja je usmerena na potencijalne uticaje savremenih tehnologija i veštačke inteligencije na samu suštinu našeg rada. Posebno su istaknuti psihološki i kognitivni izazovi koje donosi rad na daljinu, uključujući osjećaj izolovanosti i dodatne zadatke koji se često nalaze van okvira prevodilačke uloge. Kao važna tema izdvojeni su i zdravstveni aspekti digitalnog okruženja, ne samo u fizičkom, već i u mentalnom smislu, uz poziv na odgovorno planiranje i dugoročnu zaštitu profesionalaca. Otvorili smo prostor za razgovor o važnosti članstva u AIK-u, kao i o tome kako etički principi, standardi i tržišni uslovi utiču na savremenu prevodilačku praksu. Danas smo razmatrali stanje na lokalnim tržištima Srbije, Crne Gore, Bosne i Hercegovine, Hrvatske, Slovenije i Severne Makedonije, zatim veštine neophodne za prevodioca 3.0, prevodioca najnovije generacije, kao i specifičnosti prevođenja u okvirima pravila diplomatskog protokola. Sva ova izlaganja ukazuju na to da konferencijski prevodioci moraju zauzeti proaktivan pristup u oblikovanju svojih standarda i praksi, a ne smeju biti pasivni pratilac tehnoloških i tržišnih promena. Hvala svima vama koji ste svojim prisustvom, angažovanjem i podrškom dali doprinos realizaciji ovog skupa. Posebnu zahvalnost upućujemo našim prevodiocima ponovo i tehničkom osoblju iz AVE Medija. Fotografije ćemo podeliti sa vama u narednim danima. Do novih susreta, želimo vam puno uspeha u radu. Hvala.